Perkins Online, the Thinking Person's talk show. Now here's your host, Wilmot Mutty Perkins.
Everybody, morning and welcome to Perkins Online. I'd first of all like to note the death and express my condolences to the family of George John, Trinidadian journalist who some years ago, he was here at the Gleaner, worked at the Gleaner. When I was there, we got along very well, and I'm, sorry to hear of his passing. Although he seems to have batted quite well. He, but could have gone on a bit longer. Haven't seen him in years, but he was a very, very nice fellow. Very decent fellow. The cricket continues, and one gets the impression that the media continues to be distracted, rather more attention being paid to cricket than anyway, if people enjoy, there was let me not say that, because I don't remember it very clearly. Okay, two issues to do with the Parliament, and the opposition. The first is the issue of Mr. Samuda's censure and the consideration being given to by the Committee of Parliament, I'm not looking directly at the paper. It's whatever the name of it. They're giving consideration to what should be done about, by way of punishment of Mr. Samuda, he having already been censured by the full House. I think that the Parliament of this country should be ashamed of itself. Not to mention that Jamaica should be ashamed of it for the way that it is behaving over this matter. And if we don't understand that, I don't know, we're setting abysmally low standards. Clearly what is happening is that the majority party in Parliament is using the Parliament of this country, not in any way that has to do with the interests of the Jamaican people, but to secure partisan advantage. And it is shameful. And Mr. Samuda is to be congratulated, in my view, for standing up as he has done. refusing to apologize and to tell them to do whatever they damn well please. Now, let us look at what is happening. First of all, what did Mr. Samuda say? As I understand it, that the Hilton report had been sent to the then Prime Minister, Mr. Partisan, and the Cabinet. If the Prime Minister of this country sets up a committee to investigate some matter, that committee meets, considers the matter, or studies, goes into the matter, and a report is prepared. What would have been the purpose of preparing that report? Is the preparation of that report not in fulfillment of the commission given to Mr. Hilton, as it happens in this case, and his committee? Isn't that what the Prime Minister commissioned them to do? To study the matter and prepare a report? And what else were they to do? To prepare a report and drop it in the wastepaper basket? Or were there instructions not to prepare that report and submit it to the Prime Minister? Isn't that what they were set up to do? And therefore, if one discovers, well, one is expecting, we are all expecting, that this committee is going to prepare a report and submit it to the Prime Minister. And we find that a report has been prepared. We have a copy of the report in our hands. Is there not a presumption, a reasonable presumption, that report, a copy of which I have in my hand, having been prepared by Mr. Hilton, has been submitted to the Prime Minister? Is there not such a presumption? What is more, I heard Mr. Samuda making the point in a television clip last night that the Prime Minister had said, I think it was on the 25th of October, when some question was raised about the matter of what had happened at White House, that he was shortly expecting a report from Mr. Hilton. Now, if some time later one gets hold of a report, does that not ordinarily, is there not more than adequate reason for assuming that report is now in the hands of the Prime Minister? And if Mr. Samuda, on these grounds, goes into Parliament and says that here is the report that the Prime Minister has. If he does that, what ground is there for censuring him? What ground? The Prime Minister set up a committee. The committee does its work, does a report. Mr. Samuda has a copy of the report. What is he to infer? That Mr. Hilton went as far in the completion of the commission given him by the Prime Minister, went as far as preparing a report and then decided on his own not to submit the report to the Prime Minister? What reason could there possibly have been for not submitting that report to the Prime Minister? Did the Prime Minister change his mind and decide that he didn't want to see the report? Didn't Mr. Samuda say that the Prime Minister had said that he had spoken to Mr. Hilton? Is it that having spoken to Mr. Hilton and heard what was in the report, he decided that he didn't want to see the report? Is that it? But if in any event, if something like that happened, how can that result in the censure of Mr. Samuda for saying what is absolutely logical conclusion that the report had gone to the Prime Minister? Right? And okay, let us say that the report did not go to the Prime Minister. That information can be brought to Parliament to correct what Mr. Samuda had said. Mr. Samuda, you are wrong. The report did not go to the Prime Minister. But first of all, would that provide a reason for censuring a member of Parliament who had said something in Parliament that on the evidence was perfectly logical? Huh? What is the basis, what is there immoral in what Mr. Samuda had done? And quite frankly, it is being said on the government side that the Prime Minister did not get the report. Mr. Hilton is saying that the Prime Minister did not get the report. But no explanation, so far as I'm aware, has been offered as to the reason for the withholding of the report by Mr. Hilton. None that I'm aware of. I'm being asked to take a break. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Mr. Samuda is absolutely right in the position that he has taken. He has nothing to apologize for. If the government can bring information, and it is just all that the government has done up to now, as I understand it, is stated what Mr. Hilton says, what the former Prime Minister said, what the present Prime Minister has said. Right? They have offered no proof. And I'm not sure what proof they could have. Right? And I have not heard, myself, any explanation as to the reason for the withholding of this report from the Prime Minister that he had ordered. Right? I think that Mr. Samuda should dare them to go forward, go ahead, abuse their power, right? And it is not just Mr. Samuda that is going to be affected. Mr. Samuda is in Parliament as the representative of the people of, what is it? What's his constituency? I think it's here, some North something St. Andrew. For St. Andrew North Central. The people of North, he is there in Parliament as the representative of the people of North Central St. Andrew. Right? Now, let the government use its majority in Parliament to deprive the people of North Central St. Andrew of representation in Parliament, right? On the silly, if not dishonest grounds on which they are considering the matter. Let them go right ahead and do it, Mr. Samuda. Right? Let them go ahead and do it. Absolute rubbish. And a scandalous misuse of the powers of Parliament. And it strikes me as amazing that, commentators in the media are not recognizing this. There's another matter reported on the very same page. Mr. Golding, the leader of the opposition, is joining with the Press Association in Jamaica in calling for a change in the law relating to libel. Opposition leader Bruce Golding has renewed his call for a review of the 19th century libel and defamation laws to allow the media more freedom to report on public officials. Look here. These persons, Mr. Golding argues, are to be held to higher standards than the average citizen, and should, therefore, not be subject to the same protection under law. Look here. I think Mr. Golding needs to, and so does the Press Association of Jamaica, they need to go and have a look at the existing state of the libel law. The libel is governed, not so much as I understand it, by statute law as by common law. These are decisions made by the courts. And the trend in recent years has been towards the liberalization of the defamation law. I'm sorry I didn't have the time to look up one or two other judgments that have been made by the Privy Council. And remember, our final court, is still the Privy Council. We haven't yet made the mistake of going to the Caribbean Court of Justice. The Privy Council has taken some very liberal decisions in the matter of libel. In fact, there is a famous case in which what's it called? Gone out of my head. Anyway, in which it quoted in its judgment the American position on libel, which is that unless a person, you can't, insofar as public persons are concerned, right? And the members of parliament would be public persons. They can't recover damages for libel unless they can show that the person committing the libel did so, said what he said, without regard, either knowing it to have been false or without regard for whether it was false. Right? And they went on to say in that judgment that while these provisions of the American law, decisions of them, were based upon the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, right? You know, the law that allows a right of free speech and so on, or the provision of the Constitution, that the principles which underlay them were equally valid in the United Kingdom, right? It's county council versus the... Anyway, and that informs the law on libel. Well, I tell you something. The problem that I see with libel at the moment in Jamaica, two problems. Journalists need to inform themselves as to the state of the law, what the law allows and what it does not. Right? I don't get the impression that most journalists in Jamaica have taken the trouble to acquaint themselves adequately with the law. The name I'm looking for, Derbyshire County Council versus Times Newspapers Limited. That's the case. I don't think that journalists have adequately informed themselves. And that is the first necessity. You can't go stumbling about in the dark and expect to, to be safe and secure. You have to know the lay of the land. You have to know what the law says and what it allows and what it prohibits. That is the first thing. There's another problem though. One problem I find, and I have had a fair amount of experience in this area, is that some politician sues you for libel. You have to file a defense. You have to, therefore, to get yourself a lawyer, and you have to pay that lawyer at, what shall I call it, commercial, professional rates, And you might find yourself paying, by the time a case is ended, some hundreds of thousands of dollars. When the case is ended, and sometimes the person who sued you doesn't carry the case to a conclusion. Hold on just a moment, please. Okay, thank you very much. We were talking about the libel law, and I was saying that the one problem that I see with it is the awarding of costs. Very often, a defendant may spend substantial sums on in defending himself, and then if the matter goes to the courts and the libel action fail, what is awarded in damages, in costs? What is awarded in costs to the successful defendant is less than he has actually had to spend in defending himself. And that is something that needs looking into. Right? I think that if somebody accuses me of having libeled him and can't prove his case, then I shouldn't be left out of pocket. Right? I feel a little uncomfortable in saying that because, I believe anyway, let's not go into that. Okay, let's go to the telephones. Hello? 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 What's happening? Nobody on that line? Let's go somewhere else. Hello?
Mr. Perkins, morning.
Morning to you, Mom.
I am the first time on your program.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you.
Praise the Lord. I'm just using your program to send out something. I'm searching for my father.
You're searching for your father?
Yeah, I am 42 years old and I don't know my father.
Oh, is that so? And
my brother by my father's side. And sisters, they're from Maypen in Clarendon there. And I am Angela Watson and he is Joseph Watson.
Yes.
And my mom is Claudette Watson, but them don't marry. This country thing. Them just go pick up a man right off the same name. And I would like one of them to get in touch with me. My name I live in Glengolf.
Yes.
But him know I live in Glengolf. When I was 11-year-old, him come in Glengolf to visit me. But I don't remember what him look like.
I follow.
And not even know if him dead or what. And my stepfather, his name Herman Steve, and Gretel Leg, him know all of them. But my brother named Saralta Watson and Ilian Watson.
Okay, Mom.
So I would mind if anybody out there listening to me, I would like you to take my number off the ear in case.
Okay, we'll take it off the air.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
yes,
thank you very much. Okay. Hello? Hello?
Mutty?
Yes?
Morning, how you do?
Not too bad, how are you?
Poco. Me want to talk to you about now this morning, just for a few moments. Abe.
What?
Mr. Dabdoo.
Oh, Mr. Dabdoo, yes.
He's now gone to Portland.
Comrade Dabdoo is in West Portland, yes.
Labour Comrade Dabdoo. Labour Comrade Dabdoo.
Well,
what is he? Is he Labour right or Comrade? Which of them? Labour Comrade?
Well, my understanding is that he's now a comrade.
He's now a comrade?
Yeah,
He's now a comrade.
He has gotten rid of his green shirt and is now wearing a red one.
The green to the orange.
An orange one.
And change the green to the orange. Change the green to the orange.
Yes, he's moved from green to orange.
But here what happened now. When he was over in St. Catherine, you see, what he should have done, those people who were supporting him, because once he leave, he should leave with followers.
Uh-huh.
Because when Satan leave heaven, he leave with 1/3 of the angel, you know.
I see.
So, once he leave, he should have, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Once he leave, he must have some followers. So what I think, he should carry those people who were supporting him to Portland to campaign with him.
Uh-huh.
Go with him.
Well, I don't know.
Hear what happened? There is I don't know if you know the Riversdale area. There's a place nearby to Bagua called Riversdale.
Yes.
You know there?
Yes.
All right. And they have another district above they call Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
They have a Baptist church there near Mount Herman Baptist. Now, between Riversdale and Hampshire is about a mile. And do you know that taxi is charging $500 from Riversdale to Hampshire?
Uh-huh. $500
for 1 mile?
Why? Because the road is in such bad state?
Not even bicycle can ride. And that's Abe area. That is Abe area, you know. And he has done 2 terms here. He is still member of parliament.
Uh-huh.
And he's being paid now. Where is he working for his money?
Yes, but you know, sir, in fairness, Mr. Dabdoob was a member of the opposition, right? There are constituencies represented by government members in which the roads are in as bad condition, right?
But some is in bad condition, you know, because the opposition has made requests for funds, and because their opposition is not getting anything.
Uh-huh.
You have never make no request.
No, but there are constituencies in which PNP members, I mean, they take the constituency to which he has gone, West Portland. That was represented by the PNP. And we hear appalling things about the condition of roads in that constituency. Right?
But they have no money.
Now, so it is obviously not the fault of the MP. It not necessarily the fault of an MP that the roads in this constituency are in bad condition. It's a fault of the government and the inability of the government. Well, the government has $9 billion to spend on Cricket World Cup, right? While the roads in Jamaica are in appalling state.
Well, you see,
right?
The World Cup is more important than the roads.
The World Cup is more important than the roads.
Of course the World Cup is more important.
In the mind of the government.
Yeah.
Right? And there are other things that have clearly been more important than roads and hospitals and schools and whatever. Right?
Another thing I want to...
So, but the thing is this now, that where that impacts on Mr. Dabdoob is that he represents a constituency. His constituency cannot be adequately serviced, as you're telling me with roads, right? The people have been sadly neglected insofar as that item at least is concerned. But Mr. Dabdoob now is leaving the opposition and going to join the party that, while in government, has created that situation in his constituency. I don't understand that.
I don't understand.
Right?
Another thing I'd like to hint you about now, education. What is the opposition is now saying about attendance in school? I wonder what program do they have, because it's not a matter of free education, but it's a matter of attendance.
Yes.
In my area here in Bagua, there are several children who are not attending school.
Oh?
Several children.
Why?
Some, the parents not have it, and maybe some, the parents are not interested.
The parents are not interested?
Are not interested. And some, the parents not have it. So the government have to find a means, the opposition.
But there used to be, I think I remember a time in Jamaica when children, if children were not in school, there were truant officers who dealt with this.
But
I don't know what is going on.
They don't have that again, man. They don't have that again. If teachers are not flogging children in school now,
maybe they haven't got school space, adequate school space.
Yeah, man. Some place they have places, you know. It's not places why they are not going to school. It's not places.
What is it then?
Money. Most of them live within driving distance, and they have to. For a child going into a primary school, it costs about $1,000 a week, you know.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, man. You can't give a child less than, say, the minimum $100 for lunch. That is $500, and probably another $500 for fare. A minimum. Some cost more, a minimum of $1,000. So I don't know what they are going to do. And the system cannot work at this, Mutty. It is gross impossible for it to work at this. Can't. The NHT, could you explain to me why there are people who paying housing trust money, not qualify for a house, and there are people that are qualified who have never contributed? Could you explain that to me?
People who are qualified.
Those who are working, there are people who are working. Because right now, if you are working less than $5,000 a week, you are not qualified for nothing in the housing trust. You are contributing, but you are not qualified to get any benefit.
Yes.
There are people who has never...
Well, you know, sir, let me tell you something. That is something that I pointed out when the housing trust was first brought into being, right? People, what they were doing, and it happens over and over in government policy in Jamaica, that you're asking poorer people to contribute to the provision of facilities for people who are better off than themselves, right? Facilities that they can't claim because they're not earning enough.
But then all right, fine. Then how do the people get who have never contributed?
Well, I don't know about people who have never contributed.
Those people who Sister P take a housing trust money and make house go over town, they have contributed.
Oh well, I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know?
I don't know, sir.
You sure say you don't know?
Hold on just a moment for me. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online.
Yes, Mutty. Why you tell me say now about the house? You don't know that there are people who get housing trust houses who haven't contributed. That's what they are saying.
Well, I tell you something, you know, I mean, I suppose politics determines these matters.
But
you know,
Sister P being God's anointed.
I beg your pardon?
Sister P being God's anointed. I wouldn't have expected her to do that. Would you?
To do what?
Isn't it in her constituency that these people get houses who haven't contributed to the housing trust? But that's what I'm saying, that God's anointed shouldn't agree with them kind of something there.
Yes, well, I tell you something. One has got to one has got to recognize that these people need housing too. Right? The problem is with the policies that prevent these people getting the jobs and earning the money that would make it possible for them to buy houses for themselves. Right? We heard on the news this morning that another garment company
in
Hanover is walking out of Jamaica. Right? Over 1,000 workers are losing their jobs. Right?
And it better sure that they're gone somewhere else, you know. They're gone somewhere else.
Of course they're going to go somewhere else. Right? They're going to go somewhere else. But what they're finding is that the Jamaican environment is not one that is conducive to them doing good business.
It's not industry friendly.
Absolutely. As Mr. Paulwell pointed out.
Not
right?
industry friendly.
And the government is pursuing policies that is making it difficult for people to have the opportunities to provide the means of them living in decent circumstances. Now, while you know, if people are living in slums, right? These people are human beings, they're citizens of Jamaica.
Yes,
one wants to see them.
What I think the government should do, Mutty.
But hold on. The point is this, that the way that the government approaches it, right? Where they go and take housing trust money and build houses in Sister Peace constituency, right? That is not the way to go, because when they do that for, 40 people, whatever number of people, right? There are hundreds of others all over Jamaica who are in similar circumstances, and they're not going to be helped.
But my belief is that if you are in a partner, the bank are not supposed to give people who are not in the partner.
That is quite true. That is absolutely true. You are right. They're not supposed to take national...
That is unfair.
It is unfair. You're not to take national housing trust money and do that with it.
I'm calling from the Bagwalk area.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people who work at United Estates. They are contributing to the NHT. And as long as the NHT is in existence, they will not be qualified. And some not live nowhere.
Yes.
That is totally unfair, man.
It is unfair.
It is totally unfair.
But hold on a little bit. The politics of this country is founded upon unfairness, so you don't know that.
Yes, but listen me.
Hold on a little bit. If the government if there's a job to be given out, it isn't given on the basis of who would do the best job, right? And therefore, that by which means of which the people paying the taxes that will pay for that job will benefit to the greatest extent.
That may be so.
The man who gets the job is the man who wears the right color shirt.
Yeah.
Right?
But we would expect that to run under guards appointed. Let those people who are not God servants do that. But God servants, Sister P, who God send come to rule with. Couldn't have expect she operate like how Norman Manley and Buster Manty and Shearer and Siaga run the country. We don't expect she to run the country, sir.
But look here, sir. If God's servant has no need to go to the proclaiming that he's God's servant, if he does what one associates with the will of God, then one will immediately conclude that he's God's servant.
Well,
am I right?
Jesus said, by this shall men know you are my followers. If
yes.
you have love one towards another.
Well, there you are.
You don't walk and tell people. You don't have to walk and tell people,
Absolutely.
By your action. People will know. There, in Bagwalk, you see, they start to walk and cut off people water.
Yes.
But right at the Bailey Bridge beside the police station, for 5 years, there is a pipe there. Could be the pipe that come from the Tullow Spring that supply Portmore and Kingston and the whole of them area there. Big pipe that could have hold 3 men in it. That pipe has been leaking for more than 5 years.
Yes.
Millions of gallons of water leave. I was talking to Mr. Notice sometime last week, and right in my presence he calls somebody from the National Water Authority and told them about it. And they told him they are aware of it. The people
they said they were aware of it.
Yeah, they are aware of it. They are aware of it. If you think a joke, call Notice and ask him. They said, the water is leaking there for more than 5 years, More than 5 years that pipe is leaking, and the end.
But you realize, of course, that you and other consumers are paying for that.
All right, good. So Notice said that in my presence when he called the gentleman said they are aware of it. It may be just a gasket where the joining is burst. And I don't know if it's Colombia or where the gasket have to come from, or America, but they don't have none. And they walk, and when a man who $100 water, they might cut off their water.
Yes.
It is unfair to us, man. Very, very unfair.
Well, there is so much that is unfair to us in this country, sir, that, you know, that
anyway,
is a small...
I hope God's anointed will see to help the poor, because the poor should have always, and with like the people who are contributing to the NHT to get benefit. And those who have not contributed need houses. Put them on hold now. And then you look after those who contribute first.
Well, I don't think that is good enough. I think that what you need in this country are policies that will make it possible for all our people to live decent lives.
You see, but when people live decent life, you know, and being independent, you know, they can't do what they want to do with, you know. But when they give you hands out, you say, well, all right, government has given me a house.
Well, that is it.
And
that is it. They're not interested in doing well for the people of Jamaica.
That is it.
They're interested in is doing well for themselves.
Right. And
which means holding on to power for as long as that is possible, and by whatever means.
You know.
Right.
Anyway, take care and God bless.
Okay, thank you very much. All the best to you too. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Perkins.
Good morning to you, sir.
What are you intimating, Mr. Perkins? That Mr. Abe Dabdu should feel at home at the West Portland constituency because it's just as bad as that.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
right at home with the bad roads, with the horrible education and the health facilities. So it's not really a problem. He's right at home there and he will be very happy. He's moving from one bad place to another. Our friend there, Mr. Ronald Sweet.
Yes.
I was listening to him yesterday morning when he was reading the papers, something between 5:30 and 6 o'clock there. And he was commenting on he read about the Zimbabwe situation.
Yes.
And he condemned it. And he likened it to the situation in Jamaica. I would like you to get that tape and play it, you know.
Oh?
Oh, yes. He said it's a horrible situation over there, and just like the situation in Jamaica.
Oh?
Yes, Mr. Ronald Twits, get that tape yesterday morning. But then again, he said the greatest transfer of wealth from the
poor to the rich.
From the poor to the rich, right? Now that gentleman was talking about housing trust, one of my favorite topics. And you know, the more I examine it, there's an inherent class struggle taking place in Jamaica, you know. And you've always said about the plantation and the great house. And you remember those tigers there, the Trevor Monroes, the D.K. Duncans, the Don Robotham, the Tony Abrams, them in the 70s, 60s, 70s, how they were talking about the 21 families.
Yes.
And the poor and what conditions need to... Some of them were even communists, call themselves scientific socialism and all of that, right? But now they are safely ensconced in the arms of the 21 families and swelling them to about 50 families now. But they're not caring about the poor people. Take the housing trust. The housing trust is building houses for their yuppie friends.
Yes.
They're not interested. They take $200 million. Build that monstrosity there. They call it Penis Park or Emancipation Park. So that they can jog in the mornings there. It is completely sanitized from the poor of Kingston. That's why they didn't spend that money in the George William Grant Park, you know. George William Grant, who is a hero.
Hold on for me, please. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. And we have with us Colonel Alan Douglas. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Perkins.
Morning, Colonel Douglas. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Very well. And how is your wife?
She's fine. Working very hard.
Okay. You're abroad now?
Sorry?
You're abroad now?
I'm not hearing you very well, sorry?
I'm saying that I understand you to be abroad.
Yes, I'm been residing in Miami since 2002.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. Mostly for the children, really. And they're all grown people now, anyhow.
They're grown people now?
Well, my daughter graduated from Miami, at the University of Miami in December gone. And she wants to go on to do law, but I have to win the lotto or something. before she starts that.
Yes.
And my son is now a junior in high school. So both of them are well on their way, I believe.
Yes.
I've discharged, wouldn't you say, my functions as a father?
I think you have, yes. Although there may be a few...
And you know, really thank you very much for all the very, very kind things you have said about me.
I have not said any kind things about you.
Yes, you have, and I don't think I'm entirely deserving of...
I have not said any kind things about you. The only thing, all that I have said about you is what I consider the truth.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you. Very, very kind.
but let me tell you something. One of the remarkable things is that a man like you has never been held up to this country as an example to follow, an example of decency, of honesty, and of devotion to country.
Those are very, very kind. I don't even know how to respond to it. You know, I believe that as Jamaicans we all have a responsibility, you know, to live the values that were taught to us by our parents, and I certainly very, very fortunate to have two outstanding parents. My father, I still regard as my hero.
Yes.
So
he was a member of Parliament.
Sorry?
He was a member of Parliament.
Yes, he was a member of Parliament, member of the Jamaica Labour Party, and so forth throughout the years. And he really lived a fine life, a good example for me, good Christian values, and I've tried. I don't know whether I've really done as well as you have described, but I've tried, yes.
Well, what...
the thing that really, I'm really concerned about Jamaica, though, and my wife tells me it's my failing, and that is that we don't speak out. We see things that are wrong, and we know that they're wrong, and we're afraid of the consequences, and we keep very, very quiet. I even here in Miami, I hear, you know, in Jamaican community, you hear Jamaicans speaking, and the way that the manner in which they speak, it's, you know, so long it's okay with them, it's all right. If it doesn't affect anything below Torrington Bridge, can be blown up as far as they're concerned.
Yes.
And that really worries me, because I don't think we are getting anywhere as a country if we adopt that sort of attitude. That really is a great concern to me.
Now, what you are most remembered for, Colonel Douglas, is Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Eh?
Yes, Green Bay is that, you know, it's a chapter really in the history of Jamaica that I think that we should be ashamed of. I think it was a cowardly act. I think it was murderous. I mean, there's nothing to... It astonishes me really to believe that the full truth of Green Bay has not yet been told. I know that we have the Freedom of Information Act now.
Yes.
And I really invite journalists to really get into those papers, to get into, if it's possible, the Defense Board discussions on Green Bay, to look up for boards of inquiry that were done, investigations, and really look at the personalities involved, why it happened. How can we prevent this from happening again? Because there have been other Green Bay things.
Well, that I was coming to. You talked about the shame of Green Bay. What is even more shameful is that Green Bay continues.
Indeed. And you know, because I believe that we drop these things, they're plain P. You know, if you speak in terms of Green Bay and say this was a murderous act, you are branded, you are JLP, and the reason why you're against what took place at Green Bay is because you're a member of or supporter of the Jamaica Labour Party. And so likewise, something happening in the JLP administration that you speak out against, you are immediately branded as a member of the People's National Party, so forth and so. We try this, as you every day I think say this. We tribalize things.
Yes.
We get into these little corners and
nobody remembers Jamaica.
Sorry? Absolutely right.
Yes.
Nobody really remembers Jamaican issues. And
how did Green Bay come about, Colonel Douglas?
You know, as I said, that personality is involved. And I don't believe to this day that there was the administration sat down with the heads of the security forces and said, now let's do something here. Let's plan this murder of these 10 men.
Yes.
I think so. I think it was driven by power. I think power corrupts, and I think there were people who were fairly insecure in their positions. They wanted to justify their key, possibly, in certain positions. I think it was driven by that. I think it is a lie to say that the head of the army knew absolutely nothing about this. I think we can look right there. There's enough information now available to us to put a light to that. I don't think for one moment, even to this day, that Mr. Manley and his cabinet sat down and said, right, we're going to have a Green Bay. I don't believe that. I think after the incident is where the political directorate became involved.
Yes. And
that is shameful. The manner in which they I can't understand it. There's no, and to this day there's that belief that there's some sort of loyalty that a government has to a security force, whether it's the police force or the military, that even if they're murdering left, right, and center, they must close ranks. That is the government and the police and the military. I can't understand that, because if we look back at so many different incidents with all the military forces, whether it's the British Bloody Sunday or Amritsar in Punjab or the My Lai massacre with the U.S. forces, there's no evidence of that. There's no need to. That's not loyalty.
Yes.
And that's an issue I had with whilst I was in Jamaica Defence Force. This question of loyalty, it's misplaced. It's misunderstood. There's no such thing that a cabinet or a defence board has to stand behind its military. Cost it what it may. It is wrong. Their loyalty is to Jamaica.
Yes.
Likewise for military officers, they must understand that their first loyalty is to Jamaica, not to the Jamaica Defence Force. The Jamaica Defence Force is indeed a very, very important part of the whole setup of Jamaica, but it is not Jamaica. And I think that is where those who would have people like myself or describe people like myself as traitors or being disloyal, that's because they do not understand. I have never for one moment thought of myself in the Jamaica Defence Force as just a member of the Jamaica Defence Force. So my bigger responsibility and calling is to Jamaica.
You were regarded as a traitor in the Defence Force after Green Bay?
Oh yes, absolutely. There are many, as I've said before, several occasions. I lost friends overnight.
You lost what?
Enemies known and unknown. And right up to my final days in the Jamaica Defence Force.
How long were you in the Defence Force?
2 years.
After Green Bay?
After Green Bay. Well, Green Bay was in 78, and I went on to serve until 2000 and 2001. 2001. So
yes,
it's stretch.
But and you had a difficult time of it.
Well, we had during the period of Green Bay and immediately after. That was a fairly rough period. I wrote, to this day, I've never ever had a response, redress of complaint to the Defence Board, and that seemed to have quietened down things in terms of what I regarded as a discriminatory treatment. Then there was a change of administration, and I think things also change of chief of staff, and that was significant because we got a man then, or head of the army, that I regard to this day as really a man of outstanding integrity, Major General Nish. who shunted me off to Newcastle.
Hold on just a moment for me, please. Okay, thank you very much. We're back with you, Colonel Douglas.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of young people listening to this program right now who, hearing the term Green Bay, are probably wondering what the devil are we talking about. What happened at Green Bay?
Well, it's a case of 15 young men from Southside. I think it's Central Kingston, I believe.
Central Kingston, yes.
Yes. Were lured to the Green Bay firing range by members of the military intelligence unit.
Taken there, in fact, in army ambulances.
That's right. Of course, army ambulance. And grouped together, and there was a ambush party there waiting for them, and they were fired upon. 5 were killed. The very, very sorry tale. 5 escaped. The army claimed that...
As many as 5? I didn't realize that.
Yes, 5 escaped. That's the number that escaped.
I remember one going swimming out to sea and being picked up by a fisherman.
Cacti
and another one running through a cactus-covered patch of
absolutely
ground.
I mean, if you're open on by a general purpose machine gun, you're likely to run anywhere.
Yes. And I tell you, I remember seeing his thighs and the pinholes, as it seemed, all over his thighs.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember those awful photographs as well.
Yes.
Of the bodies. And that's really a very sad chapter. And then what eventually came out in court, how they were, the intelligence unit worked on these men. They were Jamaicans. I think that's what's misunderstood, not remembered.
Yes.
They're Jamaicans.
They took them there on the ground that they were going to be finding work for them.
Indeed.
Yes, they promised them jobs.
For Jamaica aircraft. And at page 52, I came upon a story, a thing written on Devon Harris, one of the members of the Jamaica bobsled team.
Yes.
Army officer. And he speaks about his humble beginnings in Olympic Gardens.
Yes.
And he having to go to school barefooted, and you know, his ambition is driven. Now, you know, any of those young men, I'm sure, given the opportunity,
might have
gone on to be a Devon Harris.
Yes.
And that is what we miss. Every time we miss over and over that there is potential there. We love them when they succeed, you know.
Yes, indeed.
After
the killing, the story was put out that these men had been found unloading guns from a ship offshore.
There was no such ship and there was no such unloading. You know, there are no weapons found. The weapons that were there were military weapons, unmarked weapons, brand new submachine guns as part of the whole business. The weapon that was eventually found was found to be some World War II.
A revolver that. Yes.
And the like. And that. Do you know that my father always used to use this saying to me, you know, the evil fleeth where no man pursueth.
Yes.
There would not have been all this about Green Bay if we had only told the truth.
Yes.
When I went to my commanding officer, when I got to know what...
How did you come to know what happened?
Through Major Robinson.
Yes.
Robinson is somebody who spoke with me, who had given me certain information. And when I saw what he had told me as compared to what was going out in the media, I went to my commanding officer and said, hey, what's going on here? And his attitude was, and I think this is where it started, was one of, well, arrogance, you know, well, you don't need to know about this. This is, you know, this is what you see in the media, that's the truth, and on and on and on, until I eventually ended up in front of the chief of staff, whose also his attitude was, well, okay, we'll write a statement of what you know, and I did. and eventually, and to this day, I don't know how the information, for sure, anyhow, got to the Director of Public Prosecutions, but I had information that could have assisted the coroner or the prosecution. And
yes.
But it was just bungling lies, 5 people were murdered, and we sought not to tell the Jamaican people the truth.
Yes.
And what is important here, a military commits a crime. It is for the Prime Minister, it is for the Defence Board, it is for the Cabinet to bring that individual in, sit them down and say to them, now look, what's going on here? These are 5 Jamaicans that have been killed. I want an explanation.
Yes.
I need it like tomorrow morning. That has never been done. We chastise the British. But if you look back at the history of the British and the colonies, so many generals were removed from command for things that they did against the inverted commas natives.
Yes.
Whatever country they were in that particular time. I mentioned the Amritsar massacre in the Punjab. General Dwyer was sent for. These are some Indians that were killed, after all, and they were occupation force. There's 379 Indians. He was sent for and court-martialed.
Yes.
The Brits didn't say, well, there are just some coolies that have been have been killed. No big thing. If you looked at Bloody Sunday, there was certainly an inquiry and there was a trial. If you look at My Lai massacre, there was the officer was court-martialed, dealt with. There's no big thing to putting your military. You put your military on trial when you seek to cover up. Because then the story then comes out and the army has to be explaining itself over and over and over again. And
some of the stories that came out about what happened at Green Bay were quite frightening. There's a story, for example, of an officer or a soldier who, didn't want to leave a particular man back there because he had come to, he had befriended the man and so on, and didn't want him to be slaughtered. So he called him along when they were going away, supposedly to get something. And another man said that he was coming too. And they said no, and insisted that he not come, and he insisted on coming. And one of the men turned around and pulled a gun and shot him. Do you remember that?
I read that account. I think that came out in evidence.
Yes.
About the coroners.
And then the fire opened upon them.
Well,
but what were they hoping to achieve by this, Colonel Douglas?
It would seem to me that they were hoping, and I think it's a business of power, how successful they had been able to somehow what they regarded as the criminal elements were frightened, and everything would have been quietened down. That the army was taking a very, very strong hand and been successful in killing. And if I suppose if the 10 people that were there were all killed, we would never have known, would have accepted that there was this big shipment that was somehow the good intelligence had been able to uncover and remove those from, and everybody would have been extraordinarily happy. The Prime Minister would have been proud, the Cabinet and the Prime Minister would have been proud, the country would have been overjoyed, and more than honours would have been bestowed on
the murderers.
Yes, right, indeed.
But some of those men who escaped went to, what's the name of that Roman Catholic place down in central Kingston? And a sister, I can't remember. I need to go back and have a look at all this.
Okay. I'm not aware of that.
Yes, she was involved in helping them.
Father Long's efforts down in that area. I don't know.
Sister Benedict.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm not aware of those.
Yes.
No.
Yes. But what is particularly frightening about all this? Nobody was convicted, right? After there were cases and arguments and whatever brought to court, there was first of all the hearing in Spanish Town, and then the matter went to court, and there were all kinds of cases, and nobody was convicted for that brutal murder. And clearly premeditated murder.
Yes.
Right? And one of the effects of that is, as you have pointed out, that that spirit continues in Jamaica.
Yeah, indeed. And it's the same thing that happened with Michael Gale, and I suppose
absolutely.
That happened in '97 and 2001 in Holy Gardens, and in other areas. I mean, that's very, very sad. The moment government interferes, and I believe that all security forces feel that they can do things.
Yes.
And somehow they are going to be
protected,
surrounded. That even the fees of people are paid for their defense. Then there's no stopping to what is security. What is good though, and about all of this, however, is that there's at least there's the media has been able to carry these stories, and I think that is, if anything, that has probably controlled it somewhat. Jamaica doesn't know how fortunate it is that it has, I suppose, regard as a free press, and been able to carry these stories.
Yes, but I don't think the media have made of them what ought to have been made of them.
There's no follow-up. There's no follow-up.
Hold on just a moment, please. Okay, thank you very much. We're back with you, Colonel Douglas.
Yes, sir.
Look here. There were some photographs taken at the scene at Green Bay.
Yes.
And one of the ways in which this thing was exposed is that there was an officer who got hold of the negatives.
Yes.
And passed them on to David DaCosta, who was then doing a column for the Gleaner.
Right.
You remember that?
Yes,
and it was David exposed the thing in an article because among the one of the stories is the timing.
Yes.
The timing given for the event.
Yes.
Did not correspond to the shadows on the photographs.
Absolutely.
Yes. Who was it that got hold of? Was it Captain Webley?
No. It's neither Captain Webley. There was yet another officer who, in fact, was related related to Major Robbins.
Uh-huh. And he got hold of them?
Yes.
And made them available to initially to David DaCosta, and then they got to the Director of Public Prosecutions, I think.
Well, I don't know the stages, but I suspect that they probably first appeared in the Gleaner or somewhere. Or
yes. I think they did appear in the Gleaner, yes. You said that there wasn't initially politics involved in it.
That's something though, because I think all along, and I think there might be a feeling, as we're speaking on the subject of Green Bay, that there was this group or that was now conspiring to let out all the JDF secrets and so that the JDF was there wasn't any such thing.
Yes.
And I go back to this business, the evil slate where no man pursueth. When I say we, Glenn Webley and myself, we were there. Yes, and I know to this day that it was our responsibility as company commanders to demand of our commanding officer the truth.
Yes.
We kept on demanding. The more that we demanded and the more that we asked questions, people started to run all over the place and pushing us until we arrived at the Chief of Staff to write our statements.
Well, you're lucky that there wasn't an accident on the firing range.
I heard about those.
Eh?
I heard about those.
You heard about those?
Yes.
Well, look here. On the political question, the victims of Green Bay came from Southside.
Yes.
A JLP enclave in a PNP constituency.
Yes.
They were all from Southside. Was this not significant?
No, I mean, all of that came out in the subsequent trial and so forth, and all the different media commentary. But to us as military men, certainly Glenn, myself, and I must tell you, because I mean, I've already declared that my father was a former minister and member of the Jamaica Labour Party, and
yes.
So forth.
But that had nothing to do with it.
Glenn Webley's family were the staunches of People's National Party supporters.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Glenn Webley's family.
Glenn Webley, and when Glenn eventually left the army, the manner in which he saw things conducted, he made his own decision and decided that he was going to enter politics and join the Jamaican Labour Party.
Yes.
But that was to my mind of no concern, certainly to me nor Glenn, as to where these individuals, or what we were concerned about is the military's operation, and
yes.
that there were 5 people murdered, and the whole thing was twisted and there's another side that I'd rather not discuss this morning, and it's about the whole setting of what was taking place in the military at that time, and I think that's something for probably to be disclosed at some other time. The setting of. But
the military later became involved in the declaration. Well, that Albert Robinson matter. It was a member of the military intelligence unit that went down to Ocho Rios, to that meeting between Albert Robinson and Mr. Siaga.
Yes.
Came back called the brigadier at the time, told him about this gun that Albert Robinson had shown Mr. Siaga and so on. And which led to the declaration of the state of emergency in 1976.
I really didn't know. I mean, again, that was a shock to me as to the activities of the military intelligence unit. I'm still amazed at what appeared to have been their mandate at that time in terms of their activities in the Jamaica Defence Force. I didn't know it extended to such activities, but so be it. I was a fairly junior officer even then, and I read all these accounts of their activities with the fire-up in space, but I really have, other than what I've read, I have very little other information on that.
Yes.
The issue, the more current issue that I'm aware of is and one I still to this day feel very strongly about, is the Michael Gale killing.
Yes.
And killing. I think that was savage.
Once again, nobody charged.
Well, and again, and I think because it, if the opposition raises something, or the government pushes forward something and somebody supports it, lines are drawn.
Yes.
For the Michael Gale case, again, it was a business of lines being drawn. For some reason or the other, probably the government saw it as an embarrassment to them, but I can't for this day understand why. Why would any government be embarrassed because one... I'd be outraged, but not embarrassed that my member of my military force or security forces had beaten a Jamaican to death.
Yes.
I can't for that kingdom understand that, and I will never understand it. I would have I knew if I were in any government and I was a member of any cabinet or prime minister or anything of that nature, and something like that happened, I would have had that chief of staff to my, or that commissioner of police to my office immediately and said, now what on God's earth is happening here?
Yes.
We have a Jamaican that has been killed. Why? And you either provide me with an explanation or go, you let me have your resignation this afternoon. That's the only way it's to be done.
Yes, but what is happening, of course, is that the people at the top are not really concerned about types like Michael Gale and the people who were killed at Green Bay.
Well, we ought to be, because
I'm sure they ought to be.
But every life, every Jamaican, the life of one innocent Jamaican life is for us all to be concerned about. Leading.
Yes.
I think we had a Chief Justice saying there can be no peace unless there is
without justice.
Or something else.
Yes.
That's so true.
Hence the lack of peace.
Well, there you are. There you are.
Colonel Douglas, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was lovely talking to you. Nice hearing from you, and I hope we see you again in Jamaica sometime soon.
Indeed, one day.
All right?
God bless you.
All the best to you too. Okay, shall we now take the break and come back? Okay, all right. Well, let's go to the hello? That Green Bay thing really was a shocking thing. And the fact that it could occur in Jamaica and not one single one of the persons involved was convicted. Not one. In Michael Gale's case, not one person charged. Tivoli Gardens, nobody charged. This is after we had seen the shooting. Policemen shooting wildly without aiming, the gun held at arm's length over their head, emptying the magazine into Tivoli Gardens. Not a soul charged with a criminal offense. Right? Okay, hello?
Hello.
Yes, good
Mr.
morning,
Perkins,
sir.
Good morning. I was listening to you and the gentleman talking about Green Bay.
Yes, Colonel Douglas.
The young men killed were from Southside.
Yes, I know.
Which is a JLP enclave.
Yes.
And if you remember how that whole constituency was put together, there was a massive gerrymandering of borders to allow Michael Manley to win that constituency. And what I found shocking was the aftermath of the Green Bay massacre. The utterances from Michael Manley was almost mute. And Dudley Thompson made a comment that no angels were killed
at Green Bay. I remember that, yes.
So I don't know about the political, reasons for the Green Bay.
No angels were killed at Green Bay. They were all damn laborettes.
Well, there you go. But Michael Manley, the member of parliament and the constituency representative, was almost silent.
Yes. Yes.
Not a word uttered.
And what I find extraordinary is that in the face of the evidence that I heard given,
yes,
right, not one single person was convicted.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Do you remember the evidence about that man? What? They had a name for him.
The Pusai man.
Pusai man.
Yes.
Yes. The Pusai man.
Yes.
That turned around and shot the man.
Yes.
When he was coming.
Yes.
Coming along with them.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Southside was. I mean, there was a lot of effort made to get Southside to submit to the wills of the party.
Yes.
And I mean, I worked in that constituency for a number of years. And night and day and night, there were, a lot of stuff going on down there. And there was a particular high-ranking police officer who was also working in the area to try to get people to swing over to the other side. So I don't submit to this thing that there was no politics involved. I believe politics was very much at the root of the whole Green Bay episode.
Yes.
I believe that very, very much.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here with you, sir.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes, you're saying that you believe that politics was involved right at the very start?
I have no doubt that politics played a huge role in the... I believe politics was at the heart of the Green Bay massacre.
Uh-huh.
I believe that.
You think politics had invaded the military?
Well, look, let me...
And what about the police?
Also, but Mr. Perkins, look at look at subsequent events. Look at this last 3 elections. Look at the episodes in Tivoli Gardens.
Yes.
That was almost a replay of Green Bay. The venue was different. It was Tivoli Gardens.
Uh-huh.
But it was the same. It was the same MO. Same MO.
Uh-huh.
The same MO was used.
And there was an incident last year. Was it last year? Where 2 women were shot?
Yes.
You remember?
Yes,
Mr. Bruce Golding was down there.
Yes. Yes.
And we heard about Tivoli Gardens being the mother of all garrisons.
From the head of the army.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
What time last year was that?
I forget now. Was it last year or the year before?
Yes. It may have been the year before.
The year before.
Uh-huh.
But that's a Green Bay MO just played out in Tivoli 3 consecutive elections.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You know.
Yes.
But the army was infiltrated by the politics, and the police was without a doubt infiltrated by the politics. Mr. Perkins, you just have to go back and look at Michael Manley's attitude to the Green Bay massacre. There was no outrage.
Uh-huh.
There was even after this thing was proven to be murder, there was no outrage. Dudley Thompson said no angels were killed.
Well, was it proven to be murder to whose satisfaction?
Well, when I say proven, I mean in the public. I mean, Mr. Perkins, you you look at the evidence and you come to conclusions, eh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes,
but that's where we are. That's where we are. Now, Mr. Perkins, on 2 other matters. I heard you talking this morning about the censure motion against
Mr. Samuda.
Mr. Samuda. You know, the government is going to have their way in Parliament because that's the way it works.
Uh-huh.
But
do they dare to suspend or expel Mr. Samuda from Parliament?
Yes, ma'am.
You think
so? They have the
so?
swagger. They have the arrogance. I mean, these guys are now on a high, you know. The Cricket World Cup, they have them on a high. No, man, they have the arrogance.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, the question that I'm asking is, what, after all of this PAC hearing on the White House scandal, where do we go after all of these hearings? Where do we go next?
Well, I suppose if we go by what has happened in the past,
nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
It's happening with Trafigura.
Well,
we are hearing that Trafigura is at an end.
The Trafigura situation, you know, it was in my opinion, look, there is still a question. Was it 31 million or 40 million?
Yes.
There's still that question.
Uh-huh.
And what has happened?
But there's another question associated with that.
Yes.
Why would Trafigura have been so generous to the People's National Party?
Yes, well, I'm coming to that.
Giving them a sum of money that exceeded the amount that Jamaica got from the Nigerian arrangement.
Yes, but Mr. Perkins.
And Trafiguran arrangement.
Mr. Perkins, I hear you arguing the point.
In some years.
I hear people arguing whether or not the commercial arrangement was for the mining of bauxite in the cockpit country.
Uh-huh.
Trafigura has a relationship, maybe distant, with Glencore.
Yes.
Glencore is a partner in Jamalco.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you use Glencore to get this arrangement secured? Right? Look here. The 466 or 466, the Trafigura man, you know, said he had no information that the 466,000 euros was put in his account.
Yes.
He gave that figure, you know.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
Recently. And we keep hearing about 31 million, which is 390,000 euros.
Yes.
It looks to me as if what is happening here is the party has committed an act of high crime. And they're about to get away with it as a misdemeanor. With a slap on the wrist and,
Yes.
you're a naughty boy, don't do that again.
Yes. I want to know what is the arrangement? My recollection is that the concession that Nigeria was giving us
Yes.
was far in excess of 12 cents a barrel.
That's what the records show.
Yes.
That's what the records show.
What is it? $5 something?
That's exactly what I remembered.
$5 something a barrel.
Yes.
And out of that $5 something, we were collecting 12 cents?
Yes. I believe this thing, I believe somebody got sloppy, but this has been going on
I
for
don't know if it is
years.
sloppiness.
Huh?
I wonder whether it is sloppiness or whether
this has been going on for years. They've been diverting these funds for years, and somebody got sloppy and it got away.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes.
I see what you mean.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But Mr. Perkins, even if Trafigura gave an illicit contribution to political party, the sanctions aren't what they're going to do. Take them to the square in Hague and behead them? They're not going to do that.
No.
They had a problem in Abidjan and they paid 198 million euros to clean it up.
Yes.
I mean, so to say that this is all going around because of a political, that's nonsense. And if Trafigura had done something like that, they would go and plead, say, look, we did something wrong. If they have to pay a fine, they pay a fine and they move on.
Yes.
But I believe in returning these funds, I think if the thing is followed up properly, it can lead to other complications for Trafigura.
Uh-huh. Well, it seems to me so that there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
But who is going to ask them? Because the government is going to allow the Dutch government to send investigators into Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
And I don't believe they need to come here either. If they press the case at the Trafigura end, they will get more answers than they will get in Jamaica.
Yes.
That's my firm opinion.
Uh-huh. All right.
Take care, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you very much.
Have a
All
good
the
day.
best to you.
Good.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you. Good morning, I beg your pardon.
How are you doing today?
Not too bad, thank you. You?
Was a very interesting conversation with that guy from the military.
Colonel Douglas.
Yes, I still won't change my thoughts on everything that it was arranged by Michael Manley to kill off those guys.
You think it was arranged by Michael Manley?
Yes, I think so, because from I was on the island, that's what everybody said.
Well, what direct evidence of that is there?
Well, people spoke about it, that they were labor rights, as that previous caller was talking.
The people, yes, they were from Southside.
Yes, and I was.
And the intelligence unit,
Yes.
the Army intelligence unit,
Yes.
spent at least, I think it was about 2 months
Yes.
down there, making friends with these people.
Yes, and also you see that nobody was a question. Nobody was.
No, it isn't that nobody was questioned. I think there were persons charged, but nobody was convicted.
Nobody was convicted. Well,
Yes.
I mean, I guess it was a cover-up.
As happened at Paul
Yes.
and at Britain. And, at Tivoli nobody was charged.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
you know what it's all about, and I think the colonel was holding back a little. I think he knew more.
No, I think he.
Yeah.
He.
Well, the thing I call you to discuss with you today, Mr. Perkins, do you think anybody in Jamaica, any of the politicians, are looking out for the poor class?
No, I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. I have a friend. When I was on the island, they was explaining something to me, and I could not believe it. Their electric bill was running as an estimated bill for $39,000 to $4,000. In December, and this is no lie, I see the bills, and copy of the bills could be sent to you to verify it. And as I speak to you today, I don't need to lie. It was increased from $4,000 to $7,000 in the month of December because the JPS assumed that they used pepper lights. Now, when they went up to the office, I was there present, and the lady says, "Sure, everybody use pepper light. You guys use it, but you didn't know. I know for a fact these people do not celebrate Christmas with pepper lights. and it was a runaround. They send them to another office where it seems, they run you around and drift you out and frustrate you. Because I guess everybody that use the electricity down there have to pay for the man on the gully bank and the man into the corner that is using it illegally. So I would like to know if this is this a legal thing for the GPS to do by estimating people using pepper lights and billing them for?
No, I don't think so.
That's bad.
They're allowed to give estimated bills, right?
But when they send you an estimated bill, like say the power company or the gas company estimate me here in the U.S. for a couple of months, do they ever go back and get caught up and said, well, you owe me so much or I owe you a credit?
I think that they have done that, yes. I'm not sure.
Well, I was told that it's been almost a year that these people have been getting estimated bills. And
no, I don't think that they're not supposed to do that. Not for a whole year.
Well,
not for long. I think not for more than two successive bills.
Okay. Well, back to this previous bill. After this January ended, February bill went back down to 3,900. Now, it was amazing how, the people didn't use pepper lights.
Yes.
So, I think the JPS, the Jamaica Public Service, I think their name should be changed to something else. But for now, I guess their name.
Yeah.
I think they should be really some inquiries. The government, I don't know if probably the government getting a cut, so they're not going to do it. They should inquire into these bills and see why is someone been paid or been charged for something that I guess. How can I give you a car, fill up the tank, and said I get to use the old tank without looking at the gauge?
Yes.
Isn't that a rip-off, sir? That is like saying to you, yes, you use the whole tank, but you got 3/4 tank left into the tank.
Yes.
So what am I saying to you? Am I charging you something because I guess? That's bad. That's really bad. That's corruption. And trust me, if I may say it, nobody can convince me that when they do these things, the government doesn't get a cut out of it.
Well, all right, so I have to leave it at that, eh? Okay, we leave you now for the news. We'll be back here in about 20 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. And we go directly to our telephones. Hello? Okay, all right. I gather that we are trying to get, there's somebody who called. We're calling them back. Mr. Clive Mullings of the Jamaica Labour Party, the opposition spokesman on energy, I believe, yes, and industry. Presumably he wants to talk about the wonderful achievement of an MOU with Mr. Chavez. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Mr. Mullings?
Yes, how are you, Mr. Perkins?
I take it you want to congratulate Sister P on that wonderful achievement.
Well, if that achievement is standing memorandum of understanding, well, in and of itself, I suppose
another memorandum of understanding.
You seem to be piling them up. No,
well, all she has to do is give Mr. Chavez another hug and a kiss, and it will be a contract.
Yes, but Mr. Perkins, these issues are so very important that we have to start now moving beyond the spin.
Yes.
And look at the economics of it.
Yes,
the science of it.
Mr. Mullings, you're a politician.
Yes.
An election is coming up.
Yes.
You have to offer the people some hope.
Indeed.
Right? You can't go and tell them that you have no solution to this problem. You have to have a new MOU.
But Mr. Perkins, what has happened too is that we have now the Manufacturers Association weighing in on an issue that has not been fully ventilated.
Yes.
And so we hear issues as to whether we ought to have a trade war and things like that, and accusing the Trinidadians of reneging. When in point of fact, as we have been warning all along, that this first memorandum of understanding with Trinidad, they could not arrive at a price because of some basic factors. Firstly, that there are several domestic prices in Trinidad, depending on the size of the users.
Yes.
Secondly, the gas is owned by BP and British Gas. And thirdly, the liquefaction plant, in other words, to get the natural gas to go to another entity overseas, it has to be liquefied.
Yes.
Trinidad owns 11% of that. And so when he had his memorandum of understanding, signed twice, I might add, firstly by the former Prime Minister Partisan in 2004, and then by Prime Minister
in 2006, no?
That's right, sir. And the basic thing is that Jamaica is saying, listen, if you can get this natural gas to us at a certain price, then we can expand. If the price isn't right, it's not going to work. And one of the things with liquid natural gas, Mr. Perkins, is that because it takes a lot of money to put in infrastructure, the contracts vary between 20 to 25 years. So you have to tie yourself into a supplier. And in fact, issues as to safety and issues also as to if it makes sense, because you rely on pipelines and safety concerns are uppermost. There's several variables.
And I gather that that capacity is closely related to the market.
That's correct.
And there's very little in the way of spare capacity knocking around.
Indeed. And in addition to that, Mr. Perkins, I'll give you an example. For instance, to ship the LNG.
Yes.
Some of these ships have to be built, because they're specially constructed, because you have to say that minus 250 odd percent, degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes. Hold on just a moment for me. Okay. Thank you very much. We're back with you, Mr. Mullings.
Yes, Mr. Perkins. And if you'll bear with me, just to break it down for your listeners. If you'll just bear with me, just to break it down for your listeners.
Yes.
To get natural gas overseas, you have to liquefy it.
Yes.
You have what they call a liquefaction plant. So you reduce it to a liquid. You put it in specialized ships, and then you get it to the receiving entity that has to...
Would you speak up a bit for me?
You get it to a receiving entity.
Yes.
And you turn it back into a gas.
Yes.
In doing that, you're losing 25% of it. That's a given.
How much?
25% of it.
Oh, hell.
Now, it costs a lot of money.
So if you import 100 gallons of liquid natural gas, or 100 whatever, you have only a net 75%. You're losing 25% of energy. Now, that is called an LNG train, from the liquefaction to oversea to the gasification plant. It sounds like a very expensive commodity.
It costs that train can cost in excess of $1 billion. Now, what has happened with Trinidad? Trinidad, as I said before, we have an issue as to pricing. But the Trinidad has said, okay, listen, based on what we have here, we can't agree on the price, and we're not sure of the capacity. Talk to Venezuela, because we, that's Trinidad, are in discussions with Venezuela over their border for natural gas deposits that are there. But here's the rub. Venezuela will be piping to Trinidad, and of course Trinidad will do with it as they will. But Venezuela has no liquefaction plant.
Yes.
And what I heard the minister...
So hold on. Venezuela has no liquefaction plant.
That's correct.
So as things are at the moment, Venezuela cannot make a commitment to sell LNG to Jamaica.
That's the point. And so we hear the Minister Paul was on another program yesterday indicating that they would expect possibly by 2011, from 2010 to 2011, although he says the Venezuelans are convinced they can put up before then.
Yes.
But by 2011, they can have a liquefaction plant.
Oh.
Now, all of this is going to have an impact on price, and I've heard the minister speak about a partnership with Venezuela and so on. But they have not agreed on price. They're not sure of the timeline.
As they did not agree with price on price with Trinidad.
Absolutely. And so one of the things with supplying liquid natural gas is that you have to have several things. A long-term contract, dedicated markets, and a scheduled uptake of the product.
Yes.
Now, I've mentioned this, Mr. Perkins, because what has happened...
Well, hold on, Mr. From what you have told me, Jamaica itself would have to have a deliquefaction or whatever you call it plant.
Gasification plant, right.
Are we anywhere near to having that?
No, we are not. And so we need to know, when are we going to build it? And bear in mind now that the plan is that after you build it, because a gasification plant is dedicated to liquefied natural gas. Unless you're going to use some of the other energy to do refrigeration and so on. But it is very expensive.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately for us, is that because, and I've challenged the minister to a public debate, not in parliament now, a public debate, to bring the experts, bring the data, and let's put it on the table. But what has happened is that we hear, for instance, that Trinidad has reneged on a deal. Then the Jamaica Manufacturers Association getting on the act, and I'm not blaming them because it is based on the information that they have, sparse as it is, that by virtue of the trading arrangements we have with Trinidad, where we import over $500 million worth of goods, and we export in excess of $30 million to them, that they are not being good neighbors under the CSME, and therefore we ought to make sanctions or take out sanctions against them. So it leads you down another avenue.
But Trinidad is to be blamed for the underdevelopment of the Jamaican economy?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so which is why I say, Mr. Perkins, that many times the politicians get in the way of development and in this critical area of energy. Because here it is now, we have this announcement being made with Venezuela, when in fact they can't do anything to liquefy until 2011. That's not for this election, but even for the next election. And so we trumpet the announcement of some great achievement, when in fact the specifics and the data suggest that it is not on.
Yes.
And the minister has some questions to answer, which have been before the House now. Should have been answered 2 weeks ago. I guess he's going to answer them this Tuesday. But there are some things we have to put on the table. And the thing about, Mr. Perkins, is that for far too long we have conducted the business of this country by the announcements, by the politics of it. And when you go the analysis, it becomes used an expression used for a very famous documentary, an inconvenient truth. And it's this inconvenient truth that we are going to show the people of this country and the manufacturing sector. But I'd like, for instance, for them to be asking what is happening to the divestment of JPS, because that has a direct correlation to manufacturing. What is the situation? Who is coming on board? What impact would that have on us in terms of manufacturing?
Mr. Mullings, as I understand it, JPS has a contract under which they are not obliged to produce electricity efficiently, right?
Indeed.
They can produce as inefficiently as they like, tot up their costs, and add 17 or whatever it is % to that. And they're home and dry.
Exactly.
And the more inefficient their production, the more money they make.
And the thing about it...
Am I right?
Yes, because if you overestimate your losses, when in fact, if they say your losses are, say, 20%, but you're estimating it at 30%, and you calculate a tariff based on that, you have a 10% windfall.
Yes. But then no. What is the effect of this upon the potential, Jamaica's potential for industrialization? Because if energy costs are going to be so horrendously high, right? How is anybody going to come here, manufacture anything, and sell it competitively?
Well, clearly not, because it's...
I mean, what have you checked out what is happening with this textile plant in Hanover.
I just heard the news today. I haven't checked that out yet. That jockey, I gather that they're closing. I understand they're supposed to be making it public today. The reasons for their
and 1,000 workers are supposed. Is it 1,000?
1,000 workers. That's what
1,000 workers out of jobs?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
So, what we're saying is this, that if you're serious about what you're doing as a government, then stand up to the scrutiny. And I'm looking beyond the announcement. Whichever government it is, you put their cards on the table, let us look at the data, and then we'll see where the truth really lies. But unfortunately, we go through all kinds of contortions and imaginings based on what an announcement made given by a government. And one understands because you assume a certain credibility, or we used to, when the government speaks. We can no longer be confident that we can rely on that. And that's the most unfortunate thing. And it raises other issues as your moral authority to govern where a country is going.
Yes.
And I'm concerned that not only are we not dealing with the issue of energy in Jamaica, but also in the region effectively. But at the end of the day, we may very go down the same road of divesting our energy resources to some entity who, because they're not under the stricture of proper monitoring, or they may be given a license to do as they will, who at the end of the day will be laughing all the way to the bank while we continue to struggle as an economy and as a people.
But Mr. Mullings, there's a certain irrelevance to all that you're saying,
Yes.
You don't know, Mr. Mullings, that we have oil in Jamaica. You don't know that?
Well, Mr. Perkins, I have heard that there are showings. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Perkins, a swallow does not a summer make, and we have to ensure that they're in commercial quantities. You hear, for instance,
Mr. We have it in commercial quantities. Huge deposits of oil. The only trouble is that we have not located these deposits.
Something is wrong with that picture, I think.
I beg your pardon?
Something is wrong with that picture, I think.
You think so?
I think so.
How?
Well, if you don't know where it is, how do you know what's there?
Well, I'm not sure how that part of it works out.
But Sir Perkins, all I'm asking of the media is investigation, incisiveness, so bring some rigor to bear. Don't just repeat a soundbite or an announcement, because you are running the danger of treating it as fact, and you create a totally wrong impression out there. And so we spend our time now trying to disabuse the public of what has been said to us. And then you think, well, are they being difficult? Are they just being an opposition? Are they being, trying to railroad something that's good for the country?
Yes.
The journalistic fraternity, I'm asking for them to ask the relevant questions, prod, and ask explanations. And when you do that, then you can clear the smoke away.
There's a need for clarity of thought in Jamaican media, sir. They need to understand when a statement is made, to understand the implications of that statement. They need to harm themselves with the facts, right? And they need to ask the right questions. And there's a lot of that not happening.
That is so. And so, unfortunately for us, we go along and we wake up and we ask ourselves, then hold on, how did we reach here? And the simple answer to that is that you reach that point because you've either been inattentive,
yes,
lazy, or incompetent. And so you turn around and you blame everybody else.
Well, in another little while, we should find those huge deposits of oil. And maybe natural gas too.
Well, as far as I can say, Mr. Perkins, so far we've definitely got a lot of wind.
And it's like the gold, I mean, we found gold, didn't we?
So I gather.
Eh?
So I gather, but Mr. Perkins, there's something also called fool's gold. All I'm simply saying, Mr. Perkins.
Hold on a moment for me. Okay, Thank you very much. We're back with you, Mr. Mullings.
Yes, Mr. Perkins. Just to make the point and not to detain you too long, we have to be very careful in how we deal with our affairs. We must be careful of Greeks bearing gifts, if you ask me. And I think that it is time for us to, as a people...
Or not just Greeks, Mr. What about Venezuelans?
There you go. There you go. It seems now that he's the answer to all our problems. How did we get here, though, Mr. Perkins? How did we get here? How did we so beggar our economy?
Yes.
So that we are going from pillar to post to find our problems overseas. To solve the solution to our problems.
Well, sir, I don't know. We seem to have abandoned the idea of economic development.
It seems so, sir. In favor of paving roads for a World Cup.
Yes, and
so on and so forth.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Perkins, I have to dash back in Parliament.
All right, sir. Oh, you're in Parliament?
We have a committee meeting today.
What committee is that?
Ethics. The Ethics Committee.
Oh, is that Mr. Samuda's?
No, that's his Privileges Committee.
Privileges, yes.
That was yesterday.
All
the best, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. We're back here.
Bye-bye.
Okay, hello? Hello.
Hello, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing, sir? 630.
Oh, hi. How are you?
30, sir.
Man, I haven't heard from you for a long time.
Well, I'm in transition where work is concerned, so I couldn't get to listen to you or call you. I was doing a lot of traveling.
Yes. You were doing what?
A lot of traveling.
Oh, I see.
Traveling for work, back and forth, states, different states, back and forth. So,
I see.
I couldn't get to settle down and call you, but I listened to you with every opportunity that I got.
Yes. Sounds exciting.
How are you doing? Yes, it is. It is.
What sort of work do you do?
So how are you? I'm an engineer.
I see.
Engineer.
Yes.
But I sent you a couple of emails. I don't know if you've seen them.
Maybe I did.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. What were they about?
There's one I sent you. Well, I sent you one with some Trafigura scandals apart from the Trafigura issue in Jamaica.
Yes.
I did send you something where Trafigura is being investigated for all sorts of things.
Yes.
In different countries, in various countries.
Yes.
So they have a very bad reputation.
Yes.
And I don't know if the people of Jamaica understand that, our government, we have to be careful who we get in bed with.
That is quite true. But then, maybe the government takes the same view. They want to be careful whom they get in bed with, but that doesn't mean that, their idea of whom they should get in bed with will be the same as ours.
Well, that's true. That is quite true.
Yes.
But Mr. Perkins, this Trafigura thing, the government would like this to go away, but they don't understand, Mr. Perkins, that there's a lot of questions left to be answered.
There are a lot of questions to be answered, sir.
Lots of questions left to be answered.
Absolutely.
And they don't even get that. They don't understand that.
Yes. Well, they don't want to understand that. They would like to have to answer those questions.
Well, Mr. Perkins, for the mere fact that the perception of corruption is rampant with that issue.
Yes.
I would think that the government would just basically open everything up, the books, everything, to show that their hands are clean.
Yes.
Right?
But hold on a little bit. Hold on a little bit. How are you going to open things up to show that your hands are clean if your hands are not clean?
Well, that's the point. That is the whole point. Right? So here we have another perception, Mr. Perkins, that because you're not opening up and saying, look, I'm coming forward with whatever information to show or to exonerate your point, that you got a donation innocently, not knowing Trafigura was all this company which had a bad reputation, all of that stuff. Now, you still have to answer the fact that was this a commercial deal or was this a donation? We still don't know that, right?
And if a commercial deal, what sort of commercial deal?
Why?
Is it a commercial deal?
Right.
Is it a commercial deal related to the lifting of oil from Nigeria?
Of oil? Right. We want to know. Right? But none of these people are intending to basically put this to rest by answering some of those questions. Right? So we're still left to fumble around and try to speculate and assume what happened. And it is very clear, Mr. Perkins, that the perception of the people, and not everybody's going to have this perception because Minnesota will put Jamaican people them to think, right? But the fact is, the people who are thinking, you can look at this and it smells really bad because, as I said, there's a lot more questions to be answered than questions to be asked, to be honest with you.
Yes.
You know? All right, so, you know, they would like the Trafigura issue to go away. It can't go away until a lot of these questions are answered.
Well, it should not be allowed to go away.
Right. We won't allow it to go away because I'm going to be pushing this thing because I've been looking into Trafigura's history, and that's a bad company to do business with. You understand me?
Yes.
All right. My next thing, Mr. Perkins, I like giving analogies. And I want to give an analogy with the Cricket World Cup and how the government actually approached this whole thing with funding the Cricket World Cup. Right?
Yes.
Right now, Mr. Perkins, Jamaica is like a woman where she's pregnant and she don't know where the baby father is. That the government actually does things just as how a woman, let's say a woman in the ghetto, in the inner city, who basically doesn't have the means to support herself. All she does is beg or borrow, right? And sometimes she'll probably steal or shoplift just to get a few items, right? For her next venture, maybe to dance, maybe pasa, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
But if you imagine this woman, right, not having the means to do whatever she needs to, she doesn't have the resources, the financial resources to do whatever she wants to do. Mr. Perkins, what she goes out and do is, as soon as she borrows a little money, she goes out and she buys the latest outfit. She buys the latest. She gets her hair done.
Yes.
She gets the latest and the most stylish shoes, bling, whatever that is, just to go to the next pasa or the next Wednesday.
Because she can only think in terms of short-term satisfactions.
Yes, right? Right? She doesn't live in somewhere decent, right? The house might be leaking. She might not even have any food in the fridge.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, she has to be seen dressed in the latest outfit and looking and getting into the hype, so everybody can see her and think that she's got everything down and she's got her stuff together. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is how the government approached this whole Cricket World Cup thing. They're into the hype, they're into the bling, right? But when you look under the surface, you know, it's like the woman when I live nowhere. She don't have nowhere to live. And basically, if you go to our house, you would be ashamed. You can't believe that this is the same woman you pass on the street well-dressed. Right? So this is how the government of Jamaica operates. Short-term satisfaction. And you know what? You know what is funny? I hate to say it, Mr. Perkins, but they have studied the psyche of the Jamaican people very well, and thereby resulting in 18 years of power, because they understand that the Jamaican people have a short-term craving. You understand what I'm saying?
And they are themselves expert in the art of samphire.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is the Jamaican government basically confirming what's happening in our society, or are they leading? It could be both.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's very sad. I appreciate the World Cup cricket. I appreciate being in the Caribbean. The opening ceremony was lovely.
Yes.
But at the end of this, when the party is over, will we have a hangover?
Yes, well, I suppose that they're hoping that we'll have memories, and that the memories will suffice to take them through the election?
Well, I think as soon as the West Indies is out of the World Cup, the sentiments of this World Cup will probably be a stale one. Trust me. I think the novelty will wear off pretty quickly, especially if the West Indies makes a very quick exit. You hear what I'm saying? I think so.
I missed that. I missed that a while ago. Our connection is not that good. Eh?
Okay. I'm saying the novelty of the World Cup.
Yes.
Will wear off very quickly.
But of course,
if the West Indies makes a quick exit.
I should expect so, yes.
Yeah, I think so. So, I hope they go all the way, because then we have something to hang our hats on to say, well, okay, it was a successful World Cup.
Yes.
But other than that, the hangover will come in the morning.
Yes.
Right? And will we go back to the lack of garbage collecting, the pothole-ridden roads going back to where they were? Will the government continue now to go back to Heroes Park and clean that up after World Cup is done? Whatever. Are we going to get goods and services from the government without hosting foreigners in our country? Right? And that's the whole deal. So, Mr. Perkins, all I have to say is I am headed to Jamaica pretty soon. I would love to make a courtesy call on you. I want to know you in person.
Well, I look forward to that.
So I'm gonna call you when I get there.
Okay.
And before the month is over, you'll hear from me, and I'll get to meet you in person.
Look forward to that. Okay.
All right.
All the best to you.
All right.
Good. And thanks for calling. Okay. Hello. We take a break. Okay. Thank you very much. We're back here. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Glad I get you.
Yes, I'm glad you got me.
Yes, sir. Tell me something, Mr. Perkins, before I go further. Did you watch that 7 o'clock news on TVJ yesterday evening?
I believe I did, yes.
So, Mr. Perkins, tell me what you think about it when they come on the TV, all the children them going to operate in this world are in Jamaica now, because they're talking about the man have to have sex with the woman and him have to stay long.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Perkins, what is happening to Jamaica?
I don't know, sir. I don't know. We have no standards.
Well, the next thing again, Mr. Perkins. Now, this man then called Mr. Dabdu.
Yes.
He have the wrong name.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
Why?
Because he shouldn't name Dabdu. He should have named Damn Fool.
Why?
Because he's fool.
No, man. Go on.
Yes. I will explain it and tell you, Mr. Perkins. Now, he have a constituency in St. Catherine.
Yes.
And is the people who run him away from there.
All right.
All right. Then, look what he do. He left all the way from St. Catherine and go to Western Portland.
Yes.
All right. Now we have a man up there called Mr. Ennis, who is the MP for Western Portland.
Yes.
Mr. Perkins, Portland Road turn bad. All right. So, him going to come above there now, and him going to make up a big scandal, say, him will give the people them road and better water and all them things. Now, right up at the cemetery at St. Margaret's Bay, there's a pump house right there. And I don't know if this truck lick it down or what, but the people are up there suffering for water. And imagine the MP, which is a PNP man, and PNP is in power, represent Western Portland. And now Mr. Dabdu going to come there and tell him going to do better than what Mr. Ennis would do. Yes, Mr. Perkins, let's face the fact. Since this government come in power, we lose one hospital in every parish. Now, if a person sick, and imagine, Mr. Dabdu is in Buff there when he keep a meeting. And if a person sick in Buff there's no hospital there.
No, there used to be.
Yes, but there's none there now. Now, a person sick and probably by then
hold on a little bit.
Antonio.
Hold on a little bit.
Yes, sir.
You would think about the persons who were sick in Buff Bay?
Yes.
What about the man who's sick in Clavity Cottage?
Well,
or Bangor Ridge?
That is the next thing.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm to either go to Port Anthony or not to be.
All right.
By the time I reach any other destination, that person dead.
Eh?
The next thing again, Mr. Perkins.
Uh-huh.
Look, in Jamaica, right now we have a lot of land. And as can to plenty of the people, I want you to listen me careful.
Uh-huh.
When Mr. Siaga was running for the president or the prime ministership, the people in Jamaica, listen carefully, you know, sir. The people in Jamaica said they don't want no white man to run their country because black man country and a black man time.
I see.
You ever hear about that, sir?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Good. But when the election run, everybody pick up themselves out of their Canada, their England and their America, and a white man country them there. Mr. Perkins, what is happening to Jamaica? Is the people of Jamaica blind? Mr. Perkins, I accept when a representative for a constituency not work for the PNP or the GLP alone, work for the whole people in the constituency.
Yes.
Is that why we have? I hear a man talk to you already about government. Mr. Perkins, this country have one of the best, you have to say, climate in the whole of the Caribbean. I even said the whole of the world.
Uh-huh. I thought you were going to say they had one of the best government.
Well, Mr. Perkins, I would have said yes, they have one of the best government, but that of the government, the darn to hurt, spend drift government. Because we owe so much money, Mr. Perkins. How this money going to pay?
Well, that is the problem, sir.
Well, Mr. Perkins, let me tell you something. I am a Jamaican. And I live abroad. But I am here right now. I will be leaving in a couple of days' time.
Yes.
But if it is possible and I can come back, me I come back to help the people in this country. Because they want to know the truth.
Uh-huh.
Because to show you, Mr. Perkins, I know when Bustamante was tried in Port Maria, and his barrister or his lawyer was O'Reilly.
Uh-huh.
And they did make a song. I don't know if I can tell you the song. They say every talk, O'Reilly talk the evidence. Let's not walk on and on with Bustamante. For every talk the evidence talk the evidence. Anyhow, I was at a place called Islington.
Uh-huh.
When Bustamante come there,
uh-huh.
he and Norman Washington Manley,
uh-huh.
and he said he have a meeting in a big ball ground there, cricket field.
Uh-huh.
And when he was going away, that time they have a big strike. The looting and all them things was going on. And he have the meeting man Norman Manley. And the people them say, Chief, you are, when he over the meeting and was going away, that time a lantern and bamboo torch we have to use. And when he was going away, the people said, Chief, now you're going. What must we do? And before Bustamante answer, Norman Washington Manley answer and said, go back to work. And Bustamante said, no, they strike for a cause. Do not go back to work until you hear from me.
Yes.
That is what the Honorable Sir Alexander Bustamante said. Now, Mr. Perkins, if you look on that, when Michael Manley was in power, the dollar was 25 to 1.
Yes.
And when the Honorable Edward Siaga get over and get the government, you know what? In about 9 months' time, Siaga dropped the money 5 to 1.
Uh-huh.
You must know all that, Mr. Perkins, and the people them should know all that.
Uh-huh.
So why plenty of them have to run away and go on a white man country? They should stay here. Because we are black man. Now, in the PNP regime, Mr. Perkins, may I tell you something? I'm not going to call my name. But when them win, I have a house with 2 drums of water, and when I wake up the morning, a pure filth in the water. The PNP then threw filth in there. Yes.
How you know it was there?
Then, Mr. Perkins, no filth never gone on my water from the time I lived there. Until when I labor right now, I go through a filth in a labor right water. Then I could I throw in there? And I can prove something else to you. I know a man whose wife was at the postal agency working. And there's an ex-man who went to the postal agency and started to harass the post mistress that is in it. And he gone. And another man come and drive his car. And the same man where drive the car was a labor right. And the same man that going inside there to draw out the woman out of the post office say, a PNP time, we must take over. The man tap the woman husband and beg him a ride in car and tell the man say, hey, we don't have to register license no car again because we win. Yes. Yes. All these things, Mr. Perkins, people must get the understanding of what taking place in our little country, Jamaica, the beautifulest country in the whole and entire world. And still yet, it is the worst country right now. Because what? Since the PNP going up power, Mr. Perkins, look, no school, no health care, no water, no road. Some of the children them, Mr. Perkins, then go to the school and them are drop in at the toilet. Some of them pick them, suck them finger, they don't have no paper in there to clean themselves when done, and when they done it. You know, sickness, Mr. Perkins. Okay. You know what, Mr. Take care. God bless you. Keep the program going and don't make nobody indoctrinate you in nothing.
All right, my friend.
Keep up the program, Mr. Perkins. God bless you and
all
thank
the best to you too. Okay, hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes?
Mutty.
Yes.
Good day, sir.
I'm
an ardent listener to your program.
Yes.
I've been listening for as long as you have been.
Hold on.
The radio,
You said an ardent listener.
Yes.
And then something else I didn't hear.
No, I'm saying I've been listening for as long as you have been on the radio. With some difficulty, I must tell you, I'm challenged to keep the station listening to you in my household these days, And I kind of like you to a Shane Warne or a Glenn McGrath,
Shane Warne?
Yeah, you know, the wonderful bowlers from Australia. That when the West Indies play Australia, we do turn up to watch the magnificence of the opposition, So, I pride you, Mr. Perkins, and for all the years, there's a lot that you have said that I agree with, and there's a lot that you have said that I don't agree with. And some of the luster and shine has gone, Some of the luster and the shine has gone. But I still pride you in terms of your ability to maintain a good line and length over the years. But I must take it to task today, Mr. Perkins, concerning the World Cup cricket bashing. I just going to acquaint you. I know you're not very strong or quick with numbers, but I'm going to acquaint you with some numbers as it concerns World Cup cricket. First thing is that the expenditure that has been spoken of is in excess of $8 billion.
That what? Hold on.
The expenditure that has been spoken of is in excess of $8 billion.
$8 billion.
Billion dollars.
Yes.
Jamaican dollars. Correct?
Yes.
Let me quantify something.
I think it's closer to 9.
Well, okay, Mr.
But anyhow.
Let us say 9. Right?
Okay, hold on. I'm being asked to take a break, I believe. Hey, thank you very much. We're back with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks again. All right, so you say it's closer to $9 billion.
Something like that.
All right. Each year, the tourist board, in promoting tourism to Europe and North America, spends round about $30 million US. And it's always said that that is woefully inadequate. Well, $30 million US.
Do they spend that much? I didn't.
Well, that is the budgeted figures that I hear year to year, and I hear persons as eminent as Mr. Stewart saying that is woefully inadequate. in fact, he and the other chain might spend as much or more in promoting themselves and by extension Jamaica and the Caribbean. $30 million US is over $2 billion Jamaican dollars. So you're spending $2 billion a year to promote Jamaica to the US and Europe. And now, if you look at it in the context of World Cup cricket, you are promoting to over 1/4 of the world's population. 1, 2.
Well, hold on,
$2 billion.
Hold on just a moment. Hold on a moment.
Yeah.
When you say that, what do you mean?
I'm saying that I'm trying to quantify in terms of how this $9 billion, as you say, that the figure is closer. Where the spend is. And I'm saying that part of the spend is in promotion, aimed at trying to encourage people, A, to come to Jamaica as tourists, or B, to get involved in the form of business.
Hold on a moment. How does showing somebody, let us say some person well, to begin with, bear in mind that it's not the whole world that we are being exposed to. It's the world, the cricket world. Right?
I concur that. And when you regularly, hold on, Mr. P.
Hold on now.
Okay.
Well, you've been talking freely. I've interrupted you. And it's a limited number of countries in the world in which there is any considerable interest in cricket. Am I right?
Yes, Mr. P.
All
right.
So it's not the whole world.
Okay, no. But in terms of the numbers that it is said would be tuned in, especially to the opening ceremony, in excess of 2 billion. That is more than 1/4 of the world's population.
No, hold on a little bit.
Whether they
how do we know the accuracy of that figure to begin with? But in any event, sir, let me ask another question about that.
I'm not okay.
Let me ask another question about that. How does showing somebody a cricket match going on at Sabina Park become to that person an inducement to visit Jamaica?
It is not just showing the person. What is being shown is not just a cricket match at Sabina Park.
I beg your pardon?
What is being shown, Mr. Perkins, is not just a cricket match at Sabina
What
Park.
is being shown?
In fact, the greatest viewership would have been for the opening ceremony. Right? Just like how you have the opening ceremony at World Cup football.
Yes.
Or you might have opening ceremony at the Olympic Games.
Yes.
Or you might have the opening ceremony at the the North American football.
Did you see the last opening ceremony?
The one that we put on?
Did you see the last opening ceremony at the Olympic Games?
Yes.
This was the one in Greece?
Yes.
In Athens?
Yes.
Have you been to Athens yet?
No, but
when are you going?
I would say, Mr. Perkins, that if I were going to
do you have any plan? Do you have a plan to go?
Mr. P.
When are you going?
You must allow your listeners to speak.
Yes, but I'm asking you. I'm asking you a question.
I am speaking to you because you saw opening ceremony.
Yes.
Less than 3 years ago. Doesn't mean that you had planned a vacation within the 3 years and it had decided your mind to go to Greece.
I see.
I would say, Mr. P.
Would that also be true of the opening?
Hold on, you must allow your listenership.
No, I'm asking you, would that also be true of the opening ceremony of the Cricket World Cup?
You have asked me a question and you have not allowed me to answer. If I were going to Europe right now, based on what I saw at the time that I had tuned in to the Olympic Games, I would think more seriously of going to Greece. Just like how I would think about going to Australia, or I would have thought of going to South Africa, based on the expose of watching those countries over the time that they were putting on major sporting events. Right? I became more knowledgeable about those countries.
Hold on a little bit.
As well as...
Hold on a little bit. of all the countries that you have seen putting on major sporting events on television, how many have you visited up to now?
How many have I visited?
Yes.
I've been to South Africa.
South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay. Again?
But
Next
Mr.
one?
Perkins, that's the point is that when
What did you go to South Africa?
But you're straying from the point, you know.
No, I'm not straying from the point.
Yes, you are. Because I'm saying to you that you have been able to
I'm trying to point out to you that seeing an opening ceremony of Olympic Games or Cricket World Cup or whatever on television is not necessarily going to result in your visiting that country.
Yeah, but for the same way, seeing a tourist board ad that is being promoted is not necessarily going to result in that. By seeing an ad for a Pepsi-Cola or a Coca-Cola or a Budweiser doesn't necessarily mean you're going to drink all of that. But the reason for the advertisement and the promotion is to put the possibility into people's minds, right? Now, the cricket World Cup, hold on, the cricket World Cup is not an opening ceremony.
Does it make sense to spend $9 billion?
But I am quantifying the figure.
Right?
I started off with by looking at what we spend as the Jamaica Tourist Board year to year, $2 billion. And the reach in terms of the numbers of people of that $2 billion, and looking at it in terms of a similar expenditure of $2 billion to promote World Cup, not just for Jamaica,
but maybe we're overspending on the tourist advertising.
Pardon me?
Maybe we are overspending on the tourist advertising.
No, the word is, and I have heard Mr. Stewart on your program saying that we are underspending.
Well, that is Mr. Stewart's opinion.
Just that alone.
That is Mr. Stewart's opinion because Mr. Stewart
is in the business of tourism.
Is a direct beneficiary of the tourist board advertising.
In a Mataland,
right?
As that. Secondly, Mr. P, another $2 billion went into the construction of the Chilani Stadium.
Yes.
Right? Now that is $2 billion loaned to us at 3% over 30 years.
Over 30 years?
By the Chinese government. You understand? The Chinese, that's a loan. That's almost like we have now gotten a free facility in terms of what would be available for us to build such a facility.
Okay. Could I ask you something?
That even
could I ask you a question? Hold on, sir.
Okay.
$2 billion at 3% is how much per year?
It doesn't matter, Mr.
Yes,
Perkins,
man, it matters.
We, as a sporting nation, and you have heard numerous sporting bodies say that there is need
with
for
the people of Jamaica, sir.
Out in
comrade. The people of Jamaica are going to have to pay 3% of $2,000 million per year on this money, right?
To get a much needed.
Hold on, sir. Hold on a little bit. Hold on. Let me finish asking the question, sir. Hold on. Do you want to continue this conversation?
Mr. Perkins. I don't want. It's your plain feeling.
I'm not interested in a shouting match.
I'm not shouting, sir.
I'm interested in intelligent conversation.
Well,
now the people of Jamaica are going to have to pay $2,000 million at 3% per annum over a 30-year period. Is the stadium built in Trelawney with that money going to be able to fund that repayment?
I haven't seen figures. I don't know what the forward.
Then if you don't know,
Mr. Perkins,
what are you arguing?
No, but Mr. Perkins, you are just looking that a gate receipt or a rental in relation to the stadium would be the only derivative from an expenditure like that.
Yes.
I would ask you, Mr. Perkins.
Well, what is the benefit?
Who is the highest paid salaried Jamaican in the world?
The highest paid Jamaican in the world?
Jamaican in the world. I know you fall in a large category.
I don't know about that. I don't know who's the highest paid Jamaican in the world.
Bibi Gardner, who has even captained Bolton Wanderers.
Huh?
Bibi Gardner, a footballer, who even captained Bolton Wanderers in the Premier League in England. So the single largest salary person has grown through sports.
Has gone through sport?
Yes. I would ask you, Mr. Perkins, who is the single most recognized Jamaican around the world?
Who is?
Bob Marley.
So what?
People pay money in thousands of dollars and come for miles to see our entertainers. Bob Marley, long after his death, remains in the top 10.
But you have avoided my question.
Mr. Perkins, selling artists.
Look, sir, hold on a minute.
Within the business.
I am quite hold on just a moment.
Okay.
No, I am quite prepared to have you on this program.
Yes, sir.
And to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But not if you're going to carry on in the way that you are.
Carrying on, Mr.
We're going to, we're going to have a conversation.
So you want me to speak?
You're going to have a conversation, and you're going to have to justify the statements that you're making.
But I'm trying to.
Right?
So when you
now, what I want to know is from you. You talk about the stadium that has been built at a cost of
multi-purpose facility.
$2 billion, you say?
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
Yeah, that's the loan.
At 3%, borrowed at 3% from the Chinese government.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have you worked out $2 billion, $2,000 million at 3% per annum? Right? What is the cost of that payment? What is the payment on the capital that you're going to have to pay? The people of Jamaica are going to have to pay this.
Mr. Perkins,
is the stadium? Hold on, sir. You're interrupting me.
Okay, sir.
Is the stadium going to earn the money to repay that money to the Chinese, or are the people of Jamaica short of hospitals, short of roads, short of school facilities, short of police facilities, short of fire brigades, etc.? Are they going to have to take money away from those necessities in order to pay back the Chinese their money and the interest on it?
Mr. Perkins, I heard you ask even the caller before.
Yes.
In terms of our indebtedness and how much it is per
capita. Hold on a minute, I'm being asked to take a break. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online, and we have with us the Director of Elections, Mr. Danville Walker. Hello?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Struggling along.
Good.
Tell me something. I've been having some calls from people in a number of parishes telling me that they were enumerated but haven't yet received their voter cards.
Yes.
What's the position on that?
Well, it could be a couple of things. Because I've been doing a bit of investigation since I heard you're getting the calls. I'll break it up this way. We have been asking people since, for the voters, this is going to come out in May 31st.
Yes.
And those persons have been registered since, when was it, the last one, October 1. October 1, everybody who was registered from October 1 through to up to the end of this month, they'll come on the voters list in May. An election likely or due, we don't issue any of those cards until after people go on the voters list. So after the list is printed is when we'd issue those cards.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Alright, because then you'd have people who have cards who are not on the voters list yet, you know.
I see what you mean.
And if they fall into that group, they won't get a card till after.
In other words, hold on a little bit now. Those persons who have been enumerated between October the 1st and the present, and now.
Right. Yes.
Those persons would not be eligible to vote until the 1st of May.
Until the 1st of June.
1st of June. End of May. 1st of June. Right? Mm-hmm. And therefore, they're not issued cards.
Right.
Until after the 1st of June.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
now there may be other people who are calling you who may, we just did that residence re-verification exercise.
Yes.
Right.
But that didn't involve issuing of new cards.
No, but they might think so. Because what we did update their photographs.
Yes.
We took their photographs and we are going to issue new ID cards, possibly at the end of this year or at some convenient time after the election. And that's when those photographs will be used, because we won't be issuing cards before that using those photographs.
I follow you. But those persons will be able to vote using their old cards.
Yes, that's right. They'll be able to vote using their old cards.
But the important thing to understand is that the persons who have been registered since the 1st of October are not yet on the voters list, will not be on the voters list until after the end of May.
That's correct.
And therefore it will be after that time that the cards are issued. Now, let me ask you this. Suppose, it's going to take you some time to issue those cards.
Yes.
What if an election were to be called in June, let us say? How would those people manage?
Well, you don't need a card to vote in Jamaica, you know. It's very helpful, and we encourage you to come for the card, have the card when you're coming to vote.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop you from voting in Jamaica.
I see what you mean.
You can always come and vote. Because remember, in the polling station, we have your photograph.
Yes.
In the polling station. So we'll identify it that way.
I follow.
And unfortunately, the majority of persons who vote really don't turn up with the card. They always turn up and say, oh, forget it. They vote anyway. You know. But we now have pictures on our voters list. Those same pictures are on the voters list.
Yes.
In the polling station, so it really isn't all that necessary anymore.
I follow you. So there really isn't a problem?
No, there isn't a problem at all.
I see what you mean.
No problem. But most people who want the cards don't want them for voting. They want them to do the other business. So, and we understand that, and we accept that and work with that. So we try to get to the cards. All the people who are put on the voters list at the end of November last year, their cards are at their constituencies. They can go and pick them up. Because we don't deliver cards to the homes anymore.
All the persons who were on the voters list, who were put on the voters list up to the end of November last year.
Yes.
Their cards are at their constituency office.
Yes.
And they can go and collect those cards.
They can go and collect those cards.
I see what you mean. But in any event, they don't need them to vote.
No.
Because you will have their photographs at the polling stations.
That's correct.
Nonetheless, it may be it's a good idea for them to get the cards.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Walker.
Okay.
So how is the voter registration going up to now?
Pretty good, you know. It's a bit busy now. This is the last month. If you're not registered, you have up until the end of March. And because there's an election in the year, you find that it's pretty busy at the office.
Enthusiasm is growing.
Yes. People working. And but you know, we're used to that. So we're going to open. We don't normally open on a Saturday. But we're going to open this Saturday because the 31st of March falls on a Saturday this year. So we'll be open on Saturdays.
On Saturdays up to the 31st of May.
Right.
I see.
And, you know, just to facilitate people getting on the list.
Yes.
And then the list ready. Shouldn't be a problem. Right now we're working a lot in getting ready for the election whenever it is called. That is a lot of work.
Well, I thought you would be able to tell me when it is going to be called.
Boy, I tell you know, if I knew that, I could retire this year.
Oh, is that so?
I would think so.
Oh boy, so could I.
There I go.
Yes, indeed. All right. Thank you very much. All the best to you. Good. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello?
I'm calling in the behalf of my voters list.
You're calling on behalf of your voters list?
Yes, Mr. Perkins.
Oh, your voters list asked you to call?
Yeah, they call. I pick up my censure. Yeah.
Your voters list asked you to call?
Yeah.
Okay, and to tell us what?
I take up my censure on the 30th July, 2005. And I know I haven't get my ID as dead.
Your ID card. This was in 05.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Walker was saying that your voters card, your ID card, would be at your.
The second ID, the first one I lost, and they take up a new one. And they said
yes, but sir, Mr. Walker was just saying.
One before that time.
Mr. Walker was just saying.
Or $2,000. Yeah.
Mr. Hello, caller.
Yeah.
Mr. Walker says that if you were enumerated prior to November, right? It would be the end of November last year, right? Your card would now be at your at the electoral office in your constituency, so you could collect it there, right? But in any event, if you're on the list, you have a right to vote, whether or not you have a card.
Yeah.
Okay? You heard that?
Yes.
Well, check out your office, huh? Check out the electoral office in your
I'll do so.
In your
the
constituency.
Next thing again, I can't be in peace around here in Grangeville. I'm getting some antagonized. I made several reports at the police station. They're threatened by a gun and so forth, and I can't be in peace.
You're threatened? They threatened you?
1 minute remain on this call. Threatened by a gun. So they took me. I got reported. They said they will come and warn the person. I'll not be in peace.
You're what?
Yeah, threatened with gun.
Who is threatening you? Well, why are they threatening you? Eh?
Some guys.
Yes, why are they threatening you?
Huh?
Why are they threatening you?
So one of them think I'm at my house, and I go and report it at the station, and the police go there and go.
What did they do at your house?
Think I'm supposed to play glass. Yeah.
I see.
And I must have time go to the station, and the police go to the workplace and talk to the person. The worker, the manager there threatened me, said, the one to gunshot. I'm lucky that the police are going to go make complaint there.
That's all he said?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that you need to take that too seriously.
Complaint to the station. But they said I can go there and take.
Yes. All right. He may have been just joking, Let's hope so. All right. Nonetheless, be careful. Okay, sorry about that. Hello? Hello? What's happening? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Perkins.
Hi, hello, sir.
How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Now, I heard a gentleman call you about Mr. Samuda. And you make a statement there which I...
speak up for me.
Just to get nearer to this base. I heard a gentleman call you about Mr. Samuda. And I think Mr. Samuda feel good how you help him out.
How I helped him out?
Yes, by saying that the government there had a PNP MP who road and need road and they doesn't have it. Now that's true, but that is not the answer.
No, hold on. I said that Mr. Samuda had a PNP MP.
No, sir, no. I said they said the government, the PNP government have their own MP who in their country they need road and they don't able to fix it. Now.
Well, I don't think that I said any such thing about Mr. in relation to Mr. Samuda.
Not Mr. Samuda. The gentleman was complaining about Mr. Samuda in his country didn't fix any road from Riversdale to Hampshire.
But what did Mr. Samuda have to do with Riversdale?
Sorry, it's not Samuda. Sorry, it's Mr. Dabdu I'm talking. Sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Dabdu. Mr. Dabdu. Very sorry. Now, Mr. Dabdu, if you see where they send him far away, all Mr. Vaz need to do is to let the people, and nobody here in telling live, PNP and JLP know that Mr. Dabdu has never have a day where you can meet him at his office.
Wait, I'd never had what?
Meet. You have an office, but you cannot meet him at his office. At no time he set a date like, well, the last Saturday or the first Saturday you can meet him at his office in his constituency. And this is not lie. Ask anybody. The PNP and JLP will tell you that.
You live in his constituency?
Yes, sir. And nobody, no time at all, he has a day where you can meet him at his office. He do have an office. But
where?
He do have an office. But his office.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
No, we seem to have lost him.
No, I'm with you.
Oh, well, why don't you speak up, sir?
Yes, sir. I say that nowhere in his constituency has set a date that you can meet him at his office. And when he came to us, he said, you're going to get water on road, like what he's telling them up here in Portland. You're going to get water on road abundant.
He told you that?
Yes, sir. And we cannot meet him.
Exactly what he's telling the people in Portland.
Yes, sir. And like I tell you, we have no representative. Not a time you can go and meet him at his office.
But you've got all the water and the roads are in good condition?
No, sir.
Eh?
No, not even 1 year fix, sir.
Are you serious?
No, sir. The only thing that we get around is the councillor do a little thing around wherein is what he can do, but for him he does nothing.
Oh yes.
And even the worst thing about it is the worst ever come in our area. At no time you have a date that you can go and say, well, I meet my MP at his office at the last Thursday or the last Friday or the first Wednesday. No time you can meet him. Could anything be worse than that, sir?
Well,
could anything be worse than that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but if he tells you you're getting all the water you want and all the roads you want, and he achieves that.
But what I'm telling Mr. Perkins, let the people judge. And if the people in Portland think is not true, I'm talking, let them go in this country and ask the PNP, ask the JLP.
So you people are happy to be rid of him?
Oh, we are glad, sir. We are glad. It's not that he left, it's the people decided to run him away. Because you cannot meet him. if you could have met him and even polish off his mouth, it would be different. Because no other MP as a PNP and JLP, no other ever treat their constituencies as hard as him, as savage as he has done.
I see.
We couldn't meet him at no time and say, well, I go to meet my MP and put my grievance to him at no time at all. Only that you have a little lady there sitting at the office there, and what she can do, you go there, you make a complaint, you don't see him. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. But she doesn't pass on the information to him.
Whether she pass on that, we say we cannot meet him. I know the MP, good MP, arrange a day. All those are the ones we have, PNP and they have a day where we could be able to meet them at their office. He is not that type of person. We couldn't meet him at no time at all.
Oh, Lord.
He would come, yes, and lobby some money around before election, but after that we can't meet him.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, sir. May those people, if they think that's not true, let them come and find out in his constituency.
So you told the party you didn't want him back as candidate?
Yes, sir. Why did he left and gone so far? You think they sent him so far away? To hide away, but we will let them know that, and it's true, we're talking, not a lie. We're not making up anything on him.
But I wonder why the PNP should have grabbed him then.
Pardon?
I'm wondering why the PNP should have grabbed him.
No, that's because he's a lawyer. They might be able to use him in other... If he lose, they may use him.
I see what you mean.
You see, and they will use him also to... They will not let go somebody as long as you broke away.
I see.
You see, and if they even lose, they will try to find fit. As a lawyer, they will... Because maybe he's a good lawyer, but not a good politician.
I see what you mean.
You know, I don't discredit him of his lawyership.
You know, Buster once told me that of Norman Manley.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant barrister.
Yeah.
Not a politician, you know, but a brilliant barrister.
Yeah.
My cousin Norman.
So that we are telling the people, be careful.
I see.
We have never met him at his office at no time at all.
I follow you.
You may sometimes you may be passing through one evening like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and you may happen to see him in a bar drinking. But never yet you can say, well, you arrange a date and say, my people meet me at the office.
Oh, he would have a drink with people in the bars?
No, and again, he would pass by
I
and
see.
you would see him have a drink or so. But not to meet him in his office for the people to come out and say, we're going to, Mr. Dabs is coming at his office last Thursday or last Friday or first Monday. We are going to meet him. Nothing.
But apart from that, was he a good MP to you?
Then if he couldn't do that, sir, could he be good? If you're not meeting the person, could he be good? That was the word. That is an insult to the people alone.
I see.
If he's not meeting the people, how could he be good? Because he's not hearing me for you to talk to him.
All right, sir.
I hope he turned his cap in front of him now.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Perkins. Yes, I'm calling from the Lawrence Tavern here.
Yes.
Yes, there are some coasters that run from Lawrence Tavern to downtown. Carpentry then. Coasters.
Yes.
I'm wondering under whose rule are those coasters running? Because in the
from what I hear, they're under no rule.
They're under no rule. In the evenings, there are no coasters. About 4 of them come to Lawrence Tavern in the evening. You will have them coming for you in the morning, and there is none to take you home in the evening. Music from 6 in the morning straight until you know when.
Yes.
You cannot listen to anybody. They don't have any manners. In September of last year, they start charging $40 for school children. It was $30. They start charging $40. Since January now, they start charging $50. If you give them $50, they don't give you back any change for the school children. When I'm on the bus, if you hear the sort of things that they tell the school children who have $40 to hand them, some of the bigger girls would give them the $50 and they would say, this is my $10. And they would be pleased with that because some of the school girls just want to take those kinds of buses. So don't mind. But the smaller ones that are probably in grade 7 and 8 would stretch their hands for the $10. I mean, the amount of things where those coasters, doctors can really tell. And they would throw them off and there is nobody to complain. Music, the one that comes up in the morning with the Oberlin student. If you're in another bus, when it passes, like it's pushing the other bus over the music, and there's nobody to stop them. The Oberlin, they would find 5 buses come up empty, and there's this one bus with I must say 200 pitney in the one bus, and there's music pumping from out of that bus. That if you pass in another bus, it's like it pumping your bus over the gully.
Oh my God!
And there is nobody to talk to. They just raise to $50. They raise to $40. Now they raise to $50, and it's X amount of things and tell a little bit them on the bus in the morning and the evening. And they will throw them off and nobody to say. They just raise fear out of the blues. Them not under no, and as soon as they reach the police, sometimes there are police on the road, they turn it down.
Yes.
Nobody can talk to them. If you ever say, driver turn on the music, X, Y, Z, in your bedroom, out of your bedroom, doctor and driver start that. Them don't have any money. You have few doctors and drivers who are that disciplined.
All right, Mom. I'm afraid I have to go to a long break now.
Okay, then. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online. Hello? Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Perkins.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Mr. Perkins, I want to talk to you about crime fighting, you see?
About what?
Crime fighting.
Yes.
And also in relation to record keeping, what our country or our government can store on its citizens, you know? And how that can impact on the same crime fighting.
Yes.
Because I've heard you come up with some things in terms of human rights, in terms of certain record keeping. And I really want your sort of opinion. Now, I'm not an expert, Mr. Perkins. I do not have a doctorate in criminology or anything
Well,
like that.
you're probably better off without it.
Okay. And I've made comments already about the police, and especially our detectives, so-called detectives.
I beg your pardon?
I have an opinion about our police and our so-called detectives, you know, especially in the CIB section and so on. Now, Mr. Perkins, in terms of record. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Somebody just came on the phone a while ago.
Hello?
Yeah, somebody just came in on the line.
I don't know what that is about.
No, Mr. Perkins. In terms of record keeping.
Yes.
What type of records you think our government should have on its citizens?
Should have on what?
On its citizens.
I don't know what record. I mean,
like the Electoral office, it has what?
The Electoral office should have one kind of record.
Huh?
The police, if you've committed offences, the police should have another kind. What is your interest?
All right. My interest in terms of fighting crime, you see? And I hear you mention something about DNA. What is your problem about DNA record keeping?
Well, the police want to be able to take DNA evidence from persons in their custody, sir. And I think it is a very dangerous thing. I think that unless if the police have a man in custody, right? And want to take DNA evidence from him to compare, or DNA from him to compare with some evidence that they found at the scene of a crime, then, in my view, the police should be required to present that man or his lawyer, his attorney, with the particulars of the DNA sample that they want to compare his DNA with before they take his DNA.
Oh, so you're talking about a proper due process?
Yes, that's all. Hold on just a moment. Okay, thank you very much. We're back here online, yes.
So in that case, you can bring about a comparison.
Yes, in other words, you don't want the police or anybody else to have your DNA and then to go away and come back and say, oh yes, this matches exactly. Right?
So you feel that they should not have prior information on your DNA before?
Yes, what they should give you is the DNA, the particulars of the DNA that they found at the scene.
Okay.
So you know what your DNA is going to be compared with.
Okay.
Right? So that they can't go and take some of your DNA and say, this is what we found at the scene, and then take some more of your DNA, compare with that, and of course the result is obvious.
In terms of ID parade.
Yes.
The procedure in terms of an ID parade, can you compare it with that too? The fact is, a witness said that the person looks like this and so on and so forth.
If the ID parade is properly conducted, so the person to be identified will be put among other persons not unlike himself, and the witness will be required to point out the person who is whom he or she saw. Yes.
Okay.
And they either do it or they don't.
Okay. And in terms of fingerprint now.
Same thing as with DNA.
The same thing as DNA. Now, you feel that if we store the information, if we already have this information, do you feel that it will reduce crime?
If we already have which information?
Fingerprint and DNA on record for everybody in the island. Do you feel that it will reduce crime?
I don't know that it will necessarily reduce crime, sir. I'm not sure that I see no reason for assuming that.
Will it allow for what you call it? Conspiracy on the part of the police?
It could well do that. It could well facilitate corruption, yes.
That is a fear, or that is a greater fear, or
that is something to be feared, yes.
And not crime fighting, the fact that it can clear up the crime.
What?
The greater fear is the fact that it can be compromised. It can be compromised, And not the fact that it can clear up crime.
Well, the greater fear is that it can facilitate corruption and injustice. Yes.
Yeah, we really have some injustice in this country. Now, Mr. Perkins,
yes.
I spoke to you and...
Quickly, we have a lot of callers and
I spoke to you
time.
on Tuesday, Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
And I never knew that I spoke to you about even the shooting in Twin Gate Plaza.
About what?
The shooting in Twin Gate Plaza.
Yes.
I never knew that I knew the victim. You understand?
Yes.
And the circumstances behind her death, it really call about some proper investigation by our police.
Yes.
The gun the phone that they took away from her.
Yes.
It was not deliberately stolen, Mr. Perkins, or it was not the reason for her death. The fact is, someone called her to that location. You understand? And the fact is, they took the phone because the number is also on the phone that they called to to show that they called her so that she's on the road at that point in time that they could carry out their thing.
Yes.
And the thing is, there was some circumstances leading up to our death, Mr. Perkins, in terms of our work, you know. Now, I'm wondering if our policemen, if they have proper records, they have their own, you know, portfolio. A detective would have a portfolio of that particular incident if he is investigating, because you hear you talk about clear up rate.
I see.
And I'm wondering, I mean, in terms of Jamaica, our murders are more what you call a mystery or uncleared up crimes. And that is the big thing about Jamaica now.
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay then.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Perkins?
Yes, good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Perkins. My second time on your program,
Yes.
sir. Yes, Mr. Perkins, I have a baby that took sick Thursday night, and I took her to the Boston Anti-Children Hospital.
Yes.
And I was sitting there on the bench for about an hour. After sitting there on the bench for about an hour, the baby is vomiting. I see a doctor in the reception here. I go in there and I said, good night, doc. I said, I'm here with a sick baby. Nobody is outside there to weigh the baby or all of that. He said, go sit on the bench, go sit on the bench. I said, doc, the baby is vomiting. He said, go and sit on the bench. I said, doc, could you dare talk to me? You're not supposed to talk to me like that because I'm not your daughter. I'm not a dog. I'm not your wife. You don't talk to me like that. However, Mr. Perkins, I go outside and I weigh the baby under the temperature. When I go back in the doctor, the doctor said, what is wrong with the baby? I tell the doctor that the baby have a bad chest cold, a fever coming on and off.
That is the same doctor with which you, the same doctor with whom you're having the argument?
Mr. Perkins?
That was the same doctor with whom you were having the argument?
Yes, that was the same doctor. Mr. Perkins, the doctor referred me to go to clinic, to go to my clinic. I said, doctor, now it's nice. How could you dare refer me to clinic and I'm not an idiot? I said, who dares you refer me to clinic? I know them to go to clinic. Mr. Perkins, the baby vomit up the whole of me in the children's hospital and the doctor refer me to clinic. That's a dark world where I'm living into. My head is burning me.
So the child wasn't...
Justice, Mr. Perkins.
Did he examine the child?
No, the doctor never looked at my child. He said he's simply referring me to a clinic. And I go outside, I get a taxi and I go to the police station. When I go to the police station, the police were cut. They take the statement. And from there I went to medical associate. There was no baby doctor there. I had to go to University of Pacific where I got help. The other morning I went to Hot 102 and from there I went to a private institution. I went to Health Shaddai where she gets oxygen. The baby have a pneumonia. Mr. Perkins, the baby could have dead. The baby almost dead. The baby have pneumonia. I have to stay on oxygen with the baby Saturday all day, Mr. Perkins. I have to be at home cutting off juice buckets to give my baby oxygen through. You understand?
Yes.
I mean, this world is gone by 9 months old. The baby is only 9 months old.
Oh, Lord.
I'm a Jamaican. The babies are born Jamaican. She born at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital. I'm crying out. I'm calling out for Sister P because I don't know if there are special people looking after, but I'm calling out for her. I need an answer for my 9-month-old child that has been going through all like this. My baby is on antibiotic. It's coming like it's a pharmacy me have right now. Friday I have to take back my baby to Health Shaddai. Where that is private. She has to go to the pediatrician, she has to go to the radiologist, she goes to the x-ray already, she has to go to physiotherapist. Where do I get all of that money? If Children's Hospital and accept my child there, my child would be on the drip or something to clear up the child's stomach. I would get a father at home feeding her through, giving her insulin through juice bottle. I would have to be at home and not just 9 months old. They shouldn't turn away a baby like that from Children's Hospital. Why do I pay tax in this country? Where are we going? We are going backward. And these people say that they're happy with the time we're living in. I'm not happy with it because I'm going through hell. This is a dark road. We need some justice. We need some help.
All right, Mom. Hold on a moment. Somebody will speak to you and take some information. All right? Hello? Boy, that sounds awful, eh? Hello?
Perkins?
Hello?
Mr. Perkins?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Uh-huh.
I was reading this issue about Miss Jamaica in the Gleaner today.
Yes.
and the fact that Mr. Mickey Horton James has stated, according to the Gleaner,
That he what?
according to the Gleaner, he has stated with only 5 months to go before the selection of Miss Jamaica World 2007, I'm not sure if it will be necessary to appoint a replacement, and I may very well ask Terry Carell Griffith, Miss Jamaica World 2005, to participate in the year's events and to crown the winner. It is a practice throughout the world, Mr. Perkins, that the runner-up takes over if something goes wrong with the winner.
Yes.
Is it because the runner-up happens to be blue-eyed with fair skin
and the
brown
white
hair
girl
that she's not being appointed as Miss Jamaica?
I could not believe that, sir.
Well, I'm telling you, Mr. Perkins, it happens to be a blue-eyed, light-haired, fair-skinned girl who is a runner-up. And how could Mr. Mickey Horton James even consider not following the tradition internationally in beauty contests in not appointing the runner-up, whoever she may be, to be Miss Jamaica?
I wish you had spoken earlier, because I would then try to get Mr. Horton James.
What's that?
I say I would then, I wish, I would love to hear what Mr. Horton James has to say on that subject.
I mean, these young ladies competed fully.
Yes.
And have represented the country and their sponsors. Their sponsors are entitled to have the thing follow the rules, not according to some racist whims.
Well, let us not assume.
And if that is the case, Mr.
Let us not
Perkins,
assume
the
that it is.
sponsors must not sponsor anybody in the next thing, and Mr. Horton James thing will have to flop.
Yes,
This is
sir, but
just not right.
let us first find out whether there's
Mr.
another
Perkins, but as far as I'm
explanation.
concerned, this is racism in reverse.
Huh?
This is racism in reverse.
Why in reverse? Racism is racism.
Well,
whether it is anti-white or anti-black,
most people in
or
Jamaica
anti-blue
assume
or
that
anti-pink.
racism is racism against black people.
Well.
But it's alive and well in this country. Okay, Mr. Perkins. Have
All
a
right,
good day.
sir. Thank you very much. Okay, hello?
Hello?
Hello, yes?
Mr. Perkins?
Yes?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. But I'm not hearing you well, sir. Speak up.
You're not hearing me well?
Yes, speak up for me.
Good afternoon.
Yes?
How are you?
Not too bad.
Do you watch your open ceremony?
Eh?
Do you watch your open ceremony at the Cricket World Cup?
Not really.
Oh, you was busy at that time, did you?
Eh?
You was busy at that time?
Yes.
Oh, well, it was very beautiful, though.
Yes.
You know, Jamaica is moving forward, though.
Is it really?
Yeah.
You mean Jamaica is moving forward because of the opening of the World Cup?
That's it.
And that is evidence to you that Jamaica is moving forward?
Sure.
I see.
That is big thing, don't it?
Eh?
That is big thing, don't it?
I beg your pardon?
That is big thing for the country.
That is
big thing for the country.
a big thing for the country.
Yeah.
I'll follow you.
Don't it?
Eh?
What you said?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't regard that as evidence of Jamaica moving forward.
All right, tell me what you know then, 'cause I don't know. Tell me what you know.
How do you mean what I know?
Yeah, tell me what you know about the open ceremony. What you heard. Tell me what you heard about it.
Well, I heard that there was a concert put on and it was good and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't regard that as evidence of Jamaica moving forward.
So as a Jamaican, do you feel pleased?
Eh?
As a Jamaican, do you feel pleased?
Yes, of course. Nothing wrong with it.
Okay. As you know, you have scope for Jamaica, you have a lot of avenue and no Jamaica.
But I would look for a lot more before I would say that Jamaica is moving forward.
Oh, all right, tell me what you're looking for.
I don't have the time now.
All right, I'll call you back tomorrow.
Okay, that brings us to the end of Perkins Online for today. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow, usual time and place. We look forward to your company. So long.
listening to Perkins Online, the thinking person's talk show. Now here's your host, Wilmot Mutty Perkins.